Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Maybe afternoon where you are, or even nighttime where you are. Good morning. My name is Ade Thomas, and this is Scrutiny with Tony Unamdi, our constitutional expert who knows what he talks about. This is a young man that knows that no matter what you do, there's a bridge that's been damaged in front of you. And no matter what you do, you can't move forward until the bridge is mended, until the bridge is fixed. So today we have some few things to talk about, which is the very, very essential things. And we want to seek to find justice to our discussion that's been happening for the last few weeks. Whether you seek independence, restructuring, resource control, or regional autonomy, the 1999 Constitution is the brick wall before you until you manage to dismantle, break it down, remove it, use any term you want to use. Those seeking this destination can act jointly and decisively to take down the rogue 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But until this can be taken down, we are not going nowhere. We're not going nowhere. And until we realize this truth, I'm sorry. We can make noise, we can shout, we can do anything we like to do. We're wasting our time. We just need to actually find out exactly what's happening. There was an interview on Channels Television. I'm crediting this one to Channels Television in Nigeria. At Nigeria at 60. I want to play that one for you. It's about maybe the first 5-10 minutes of it. I'm going to play it for you so that you know exactly what we're talking about, why we're talking about it, and what is wrong with our nation. People crying NSAS now, people saying they want to go into politics in 2023. They're probably wasting their time because no matter what you do, you can't win. You can say whatever you like, you cannot win. Remember, you have to vote. The Northern has more than 150 votes. The South and Middle Belt combined together have about 120 or so. So, if you vote, who's going to win? Remember, there will be some rogues out there among us. They're still going to vote with the North. And you have very few Northern voting with the South. Apart from some very few elements that stand up for justice. Like the man fighting for the cause in the Southern Kaduna. I think his name is Shehu Sade. Not quite sure. But let's watch this video and see what is this.
But the government, the theme, Nigeria at 60 together. What do we need to do to get it right? Could that be one of the factors? We'll find out as we go on to Mr. Tony Nadi, who is a legal practitioner. He's a co-convener, Movement for New Nigeria, and Secretary General, Lower Nigeria Congress. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Sir Billy.
Well, so much different perspectives, really, about what we need to do to be together, to continue being together, and strengthen our resolve to stay together. Yes, we did put out a poll, which we'll come to much later. But in light of this theme that we've got, Nigeria 60 together, what stands out for you in that particular theme if we need to at least all achieve and point to what we can call the Nigerian dream?
Well, I was just listening to the newspaper reports and all kinds of all the things that have been happening in the last, in course of this week, even just this week alone. And we had the Vice President raise alarm, Yemi Osinbajo, raise alarm that the walls of Nigeria are cracked and that if nothing is done very urgently too, that the walls will come down, that the union might collapse on account of those cracks. And then we also saw people jump up from one section to condemn him for pointing out that crack. But the matter goes beyond the crack for us. It goes all the way. That crack, I sit here as a statesman as one involved hands-on for 20 years plus, looking for solutions to these problems that are now, prevalent and manifest everywhere. The cracks are coming from the foundation upon which we're building. The cracks didn't just happen overnight. The cracks came from the wrong foundation upon which we have insisted on building. And if we're discussing 60 years now, looking back at the fact that it was the election of independence that led to Awolowo being sent to prison, and the response to that leading to May 29, 1962 suspension of the constitution of the Western region of the time, leading further to the breakdown of law and order in Western region that became Wild Wild West, which was what the soldiers, Ademoyega, Njogwa and co, came in, young men who were just, looking out for their country. It was that commotion that they tried to come to arrest 6 years into independence. That was what became January 15 of 1966. And then the basic agreement for being in a union got truncated, because we became a union because we were going to be a federation. We became a union because we were going to be a federation. The Sadona, we remember in 1953 when the motion for independence was moved, the Northern delegation blocked it because they wanted more autonomy. They didn't want to be mixed up with people in such a manner that they would lose their identity, their culture, their control over their own affairs. And so the 8 points of demand that Sadona raised in rejecting that motion for independence in 1953 became the definition of the depth of autonomy which was acceptable to the North at the time to become part of the union that emerged in 1960. And so it was the collapse, it was the abandonment of that arrangement, which we call federalism, that became the reason for all of the other things that have now gone wrong. And I was just looking at the video of Senator Adeyeye's lamentations on the floor of the Senate. It is the constitution we have. I have a copy here too. The constitution that has emerged, the one that is on the table now, is the aggregation of all of the things that went wrong since this time, since the 60s, almost this last 55 years. So that's how we came. That's how we came to these cracks, building on that foundation that collapsed 6 years into our independence and refusing to listen to.
But the thing about that is that,
yes,
in spite of all,
yes,
we've had several constitution drafting committees, different governments, 60s, 70s, 90s,
yes,
and I mean, at least many of them headed by civilians.
Yes.
And they said that they had gone round the country.
Yes.
In fact, Justice Nikitobi, when he headed, he said Nigerians opted for 1979 constitution. So many people they give the impression that, look, people had gone round, collated memorandum, and Nigerians opted for that 1979, which there isn't any fundamental difference between 99 and 79 anyway.
Yeah.
So where then lies the problem?
Well, we've been, when you choose to deceive yourself, you begin to reap the kind of outcomes we have now. The problem, which they've been evading, trying to avoid, but they are now face to face with the consequences of that recklessness of refusing to diagnose what the problem is, just deciding to treat, like doctors who do diagnosis before prescription, before treatment. What we've been doing in all this attempt to go do it this way or that way is we've been avoiding the diagnosis, the correct diagnosis. The problem is that constitution making is not the business of government. And what has happened, government is like, I'm sure our people can relate with companies and their memo and articles. The memo and articles of the company is the exclusive responsibility of the owners of the company to submit themselves into the enterprise, into what becomes XYZ Limited. And what happened to Nigeria in 1966 was that the managers, because the government is in the position of hired management, the owners of the enterprise are the ones who could have been countries of their own if not for the Union of Nigeria. Let's get that straight. And the discussions that must be had, the process that will lead to having a constitution that can stand, is a discussion between those shareholders of that enterprise called Nigeria. And who are those shareholders? We back up from behind 1960 to see a Western region that had their constitution as at their own constitution emerged as at 1957. Then Eastern region followed right after. And then it was in 1959 that the Northern region came to where they had their own constitutions. There are like 3 countries negotiating how to form some kind of union, like Germany and Portugal and Spain discussing whether they could form European Union. That was the kind of arrangement that Nigeria, was agreed to be. And from the point in 1966 when the 5 constitutions that defined that union got toppled by the hired management, because government in its 3 arms represent the hired management of the enterprise. The owners of the enterprise are the Yoruba bloc that could be country of 55 million people, the Eastern bloc that could be country of 70 million people. Forget about the divisions that were introduced in 3 days to the declaration of Biafra in 1967. Then Northern region, that could be country of its own. And so it was in refusing to recognize that that Nigeria ceased to be a federation from the point in 1966 that those 5 constitutions that defined the union up to that time, the federation up to that time, got jettisoned, and we had, we began to have, by decree, a centralized, instrument, the unitary instruments that have metamorphosed into 1999 Constitution. Let us remember that it was on the 27th of May in 1967 that the 4 regions which federated, the 4 regions that had autonomy, the 4 regions that had ownership and control over their assets, it was from the point in 1967 that those 4 regions were broken into 12 states, and their assets progressively got taken over by the federal government, that we ceased to be a federation. But we kept pretending, such that by 1975, when Murtala Mohammed took over from Gowon, the first task he gave, of course, the entire commotion of 66 led to war, in which more than 3 million people got lost in one part of the country, in the eastern part of the country, and the Biafra War. And from that point of 1970, when the war ended, instead of going to examine what truncated our federation, we patched it up with all kinds of things. They say NYSC, for instance.
If I could jump in, because
yes.
in 1975,
yes,
General Mohammed at that time to set up a constitution drafting committee.
Yes.
And it was headed by then eminent jurist Chief F.R.A. Williams.
Yes.
So does it mean that all of these issues were lost on them when they came up with the constitution?
They were as they were wrong that time, so are the ones who are discussing what to do about amending constitution in National Assembly wrong today. It is not within the legislative mandate of the National Assembly to make constitution. Constitution making is the exclusive business of those who will submit their lands and their peoples into a union. The National Assembly is only a part of the management team, one arm of the government. And so by 1966, it was that management team that toppled the enterprise and removed the owners from the memo and articles of the enterprise, and now the federal government became the owner of everybody and everything progressively, to the point now where we have 68 items on the exclusive list, to the point now where even the matter of electing who will govern us is only an INEC in Abuja that will have to process everybody that will emerge, to the point now where we can secure ourselves the matter of simple policing, to the point where all of the economic assets belong to the center. We now saw, we've come to where there's a waterway control bill that is now meant to take over all bodies of waters across the land, with some kilometers of land adjoining it, such bodies of water to the left and right. So the center, the federal government that was set up to be a union office for these owners of enterprise, has now toppled the owners and become the owner of the enterprise to the exclusion of those ones. And those owners are shouting and crying, let us go back to discussing so that we can rebuild the foundation upon which we can, upon which this union can be sustained.
I think it is important.
They are refusing to listen.
Okay, no,
and we see people now moving progressively towards self-help.
Just one moment.
Yes.
I think there is a need to define how we can solidify that foundation so we don't go back to where we are trying to get out from.
Yes.
Well, depending on what historical accounts you read, some would also tell you that it was the politicians that after all the rockers that followed the First Republic, it was the politicians themselves that invited the military to come take over because they are not having it easy managing things themselves. So they wanted the military to come over. As a matter of fact, when the military came in to try to manage the unrest at the time, they just said, you know what, just go ahead, manage this thing for a while, we'll back off. And the military wanted to hand over to the people back, and they said no. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that First Republic had the parliamentary system of government, and which, as you said, you know, regions championing things. And economically, a number of people have said that economically, each of the blocks were doing quite well. The granite pyramids in the north, the coal in the east and the cocoa in the west were doing quite well and all of that. But it was the same politicians that couldn't really agree on a number of things, as they are still finding it difficult to agree on a number of things now. So if we are going to get this country right, is it a problem of the system of the constitution, the system of government, the constitution, or the people?
Hold it there. The answer lies in completing what I was saying in response to the last question about how we came about the constitution we're building upon. There are 3 items, and I want everybody to listen carefully. I'm saying this not just as a lawyer. I'm saying this as a lawyer with specialty in jurisprudence. In that field of law, my students are the professors of law and the senior advocates in Nigeria. We are in this building now. There are 3 components: the foundation, the vertical column, and the roofing structure. That's basic. Now, we hear about polity all the time, overheating the polity. We have the polity, that's the definition of the union, as done by, as you will find in the Constitution. That is the foundation. Then it is that foundation that moderates and defines the politics, PDP, APC, and all of what happens in elections and how people get elected. That's the vertical column. The roof is where you're now discussing the policies that come from that politics. In those 3 compartments, you come back to the definition of democracy. Government of the people means the foundation, that the people, in exercise of their sovereignty, decide the ultimate rules, which you call the Constitution. By the people means, having so decided, the politics that happens in the place is governed by that Constitution. And then the policies for the people is where the people begin to get benefits. But Nigeria's democracy, so-called democracy, does not pass any of these 3 legs of test. Back to the question of Chamberlain about 75. What happened in 75 was that Murtala Mohammed came in and basically gathered all of what they got by brigandage from the war to convert into constitutional instrument that will now be permanent. And he commissioned Rotimi Williams, who in turn brought in Ben Wabweze, and they crafted, according to the instruction of Murtala Mohammed and whoever worked with him, they crafted what became the draft that went to the Constituent Assembly in 1977, like building a house from the roof. Instead of getting the constituents to come to discuss the balance of what they could not agree on in Aburi, that was what was required at that point, to get back to being a federation, let everybody recommit. They drafted this and put before the Constituent Assembly. In fairness to the Constituent Assembly of 77, because by 76, Murtala Mohammed was already out, having been chucked out. The Constituent Assembly rejected most of they didn't accept the 12 the states that have been created. It had become 19 as at the time. The Constituent Assembly did not accept presidential system because it will accumulate power in the manner we have seen, and all kinds of things that eventually made it to that country.
Okay, all kind of problems that were actually emancipating from that 1999 constitution is actually being analyzed by our guest today. I won't say you don't know who the guest is unless you're joining us for the first time. And if you're joining us for the first time, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Remember to hit the bell as well, because this is going to be a very educative program. So let me introduce our guest for today, Mr. Tony Nandi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sorry to have kept you waiting so long this morning. Time difference is a lot of issues, and I know some people in America are complaining already that, oh, can we move the program back a little bit because they were sleeping at this time? I said, no, don't let us move it. Let us start today with a very good program, and later on they can wake up and watch it. It's not in the olden days that if you miss a tele program, it's gone, you can't catch it up again. These days, even if you miss it 2 years down the line, you can still go back to it and watch it. Welcome to the program. For the benefit of those people who are joining us for the first time, may I give Mr. Tony the chance to introduce himself so that people know you know what you're talking about. Who is Tony Onamdi? What do you do? And what have you been? What do you do and what have you been doing? Thank you.
Tony Onamdi is a lawyer who happens to be secretary to an organization called the Lower Niger Congress, also co-convener to the outreach arm of that Lower Niger Congress that goes into the Yoruba space and the Middle Belt to find co-laborers, co-sufferers, co-prisoners in the Caliphate prison we call Nigeria. You know, and what we are doing is to try to organize a jailbreak from that prison, you know, into which we are locked by the 1999 Constitution. And that's what we're doing. And we now want the rest of our people who hadn't quite paid attention or followed up with what it will take to come out from this bondage to please listen at this time, because we're on the verge of taking a joint action that will take down that constitution that make us slaves in our homeland. We're a majority and nothing stands our way other than our refusal to act. Welcome, viewers.
Fantastic. The term you used, jailbreak. Are we in jail currently, Mr. Tony?
Very much so. Very much so. It's only people who are in jail who are not going to be allowed to, you as a prisoner, all your rights are removed. You don't own anything. It's only what the warden gives you or whoever put you in the prison gives you. He determines all the terms of what you do, where you can go, where you can't go. You know, he owns everything that is asset that yes, a slave basically. It's even worse than a jailbreak, the ordinary jail where the prisoners are still in jail. It's just a slave camp to put it quite as it is. A slave camp. Nigeria has become a slave camp where you don't own anything, including your life, because the master who owns the camp can do away with his slave. That's how bad it is. You don't own any assets. That's what happened to the oil and gas, or assets of the Niger Delta. That's what happened to the ports of Lagos, so that only people from Kano can be controller general or run the MPA that take away trillions from that port. That's how it came. You can't organize who will govern you. There's an INEC in Abuja to dictate to you. If you pass through their hurdle, there's some headsman at the Supreme Court waiting for you. That's what happened to Imo. So in all that, every single thing that we're lamenting about, even the SARS that happened recently, is the over-centralized police system, the security system that brought about SARS. So those who are protesting about how to change SARS, would they gather again? We hear again about the increment in the price of fuel. Like we told everybody before, as long as that constitution is standing, refineries remain on the exclusive list. Petroleum remain on that exclusive list. And therefore, the federal government that has no capacity at all to run any refinery is the only one who has sequestered the right to itself to do anything about petrol or petroleum or refining All those things are coming from that exclusive list. And as long as we are not refining the product for a country that produces 3 million barrels of crude oil every day, is it not a shame that we are talking about going to buy any product outside? Whereas if that concession is not there, retaining that item on the exclusive list, there are thousands of companies that can go to Texas, go to everywhere else, crude oil is being produced. There are all kinds of people. State governments can license for refining, and private concerns can. Is it not Dangote that is building a refinery now? Why do you have to bring it down to monopoly, in which only one person can be licensed? Why not remove that item from the exclusive list and allow all of those who can process petrol, crude into petrol and diesel and other kinds of products to take the product and process? You lock down that possibility with your concession, and you go into the international community to buy at any price, and your naira is on a free fall, and then people gather to carry placards to say they don't want increment. If you do not want to go to turn off the tap, more increases are coming in the price of petroleum products. More and more will come because Nigeria is dependent almost 100% on the vagaries of international pricing, since you cannot refine petrol 60 years into your independence. As it is with that petroleum price hike, so will it be with the security that is degenerating every day, whether it's herdsmen killing people or police killing people or just kidnappers grabbing people. Whatever it is, the source of the problem is that we have an over-centralized security system created by that constitution. That exclusive list on that constitution is the reason why you can't organize your security, because arms and ammunition happen to be on that exclusive list too. So as long as that constitution is standing there, your security can only get worse. Every other thing you do is a waste of time, is a product of ignorance. Every other thing you do to improve security in this land is a waste of everybody's time. It's just waiting for your turn to either be kidnapped or be killed, whether by police or by army or by Boko Haram or by herdsmen. As long as that constitution is standing, that is your situation. Elections will come. If we don't take down that constitution, another election will come to meet you. INEC will be in Abuja processing who and who will be candidate, and it is whoever they bring. If they choose, if they leave you with a choice between what do they call a ritualist and an armed robber and a murderer and a kidnapper, if those are the four candidates that emerge, because people who do not wish you well sitting in Abuja are the only ones with the exclusive right under this constitution. Everything, I've challenged people every time we have the opportunity. Anything you can point at, whether it is corruption, whether it is impunity, whether it is infrastructural decay, whether it's electricity you do not have, anything that is tormenting you in Nigeria, I will show you the provision in the constitution that guarantees that it should be so for you. And there are people making profit because it is so for you. So every other engagement outside taking down that constitution is a product of ignorance or dishonesty or greed. Ignorance because many of our people do not know that that's the case. Electricity they don't have, they think, oh, let's go and buy transformer. Some even are blaming their governors for not providing electricity for them, whereas the constitution forbids you from generating or transmitting electricity. The constitution says only the federal government that has no capacity to do anything at all can provide electricity for you in a federation. And we have people with education. We have people who are lawyers standing around with that document, some even presenting themselves as constitutional lawyer. We're under which constitution? Some are even talking about rule of law. I listened to the TV this morning. I was listening to some TV program this morning, and people were actually discussing rule of law on one of the channels. Which rule of law can you get under an apartheid constitution? A constitution that already tie you up, leg and hand, blindfolds you. There's no possibility of rule of law, except they don't understand the meaning of rule of law. It may well be that the mediocrity that they've nurtured to the controlling heights in the Nigerian system has brought us to where people no longer even understand the meaning of what they are saying. It's like talking about rule of law in apartheid South Africa. It's already a society of master and servant. Those who impose that constitution and put your signature as the one that authorizes your damnation, that says
you can't own or control your assets, whether it's oil and gas or ports, that says you cannot organize elections amongst yourself, that says you do not want to generate electricity for yourself, that says those who are in government house, who have the spare key, the governors and the president, who have the spare key to the treasury to do as they like with with the contents of the treasury. Those are the things that are alleged to have been done by you in that preamble that says that we, the people, made that constitution. So where we are today, the purpose of today's program is to let our people know that those who do not know that that constitution is the source of their misery should know. And having identified it and isolated it, the task now is, what do we do to get ourselves out of it? That's the what I call the jailbreak. All of us, whether you are in the East or you are in the West or you are in the Middle Belt, whether you seek independence or self-determination or restructuring or resource control or regional autonomy, if you seek any of this, the brick wall, the obstacle, the iron gate between you and that outcome is that constitution. If we do not get rid of it, those who impose it on us are working hard. You could see they're already renewing the tenure of INEC chair to go to organize another election in 2023 that will renew the life of that constitution. All of those who will want to go with them to that election under that constitution in 2023 are telling the rest of us that, look, we are happy to be slaves. It doesn't matter if we get killed. It doesn't matter if we don't have jobs. That's what they are saying. Because we are now inviting those who know what the problem is, who have also organized all of those who are now rejecting that constitution in their spaces. All the agitations in the land are constitutional grievances being expressed in various ways. Whether it was Gani Adams and OPC, the constitutional grievance they're expressing in Yoruba space is that they do not understand why the security of Yoruba land is put exclusively in the hands of people who do not wish Yoruba well. That's the simple thing OPC came out to challenge. You come to the eastern part, those who are talking about Niger Delta agitation for resource control, again is a constitutional grievance being expressed by way of that agitation by people who can't understand how their oil and gas assets became the property of Kano and Maiduguri people to their own exclusion. Their environment being damaged, their people being killed. Anybody who speaks up is beheaded. Kensarowa, not only did they hang him, they also poured acid on his body, melted his body, right there in Port Harcourt. Dauda Komo, and whoever sent him at the time. And so we leave all these things, all the agitations, name the agitation, so we can interpret it to you. And everything boils down to what that constitution imposes on you. And your signature is put on the document as the author of your damnation. And they're discussing the renewal of the life of that constitution with you. And you are participating, waving PDP or APC or ABGA flag. You are ignorant. You are greedy. You are dishonest. It's up to you to select and announce to us the one that is your problem. If you are one of those still discussing how to go to another election under that constitution in 2023, it is within our reach, having done all of what we've done to get those who are suffering to repudiate. They have actually repudiated. You remember in 2017, 7th of September, when the Yoruba gathered in Ibadan, Adamasingba Stadium. You remember they said it to the hearing of the whole world that they now reject this fraudulent constitution as the basis of the Nigerian Union. On the 27th of April in 2015, the nationalities of the eastern half of southern Nigeria, that's the lower Niger, had gathered in Port Harcourt. The Ijo, the Anang, the Efik, the Ibibio, the Igbo, all of them gathered under one roof in Port Harcourt to tell the global community that the constitution, the 1999 constitution, which is a complete departure from the union agreement. Constitution is simply the union agreement. For our people who may be thinking that constitution is one document that lawyers use to practice law. No, it is simply the union agreement. We had a union agreement that spelled out all of how we will relate in that union. that guaranteed our ownership and control of our assets, from which we make contributions to the center. For the limited roles, we will assign the center. That was what we agreed. That was what brought us together with all these people who are now tormenting us and pointing guns at us.
Can I say something, Mr. Tony? Right?
Yes.
I want our listeners, our viewers to understand this clearly.
Yes.
This constitution is what gave the president the power to wake up one morning and said, I want to construct a rail line from Kano to Nigeria Republic. What benefit does it give any one of us? This constitution gives them the right to do anything they like.
Anything they like. All those 68 items, let us break it down. All those 68 items listed on that exclusive list are the exclusive business of the federal government. Now, if we were still a federation, if Nigeria was still a federation, Nigeria ceased to be a federation since 1966, since the collapse of the constitutions, the 5 constitutions that defined the federation. Nigeria ceased to be a federation from that point. The people who hijacked the carcass of that dead federation and had kept it as for one political union against the will of all of those who are trapped there. That's why I describe it as the prison in which we are locked, in which we are captured. Now,
we can
they impose this constitution. There's order in the zoo. Zoo is far better than what we are talking about here.
Wow.
Slave camp. And so the people who grabbed us and locked us down into this slave camp, they have now come to where they got to government house. And one of them, who has been the champion of master and servant union, who have been the champion of Sharia they prefer, the Sharia they prefer, is now holding the rest of us hostage in the name of federal government, whether it is the Army of Nigeria or the Police of Nigeria or the DSS of Nigeria. Those things are happening because there is a pretense that there is still a federation in which there is a federal government in control of all those things, authorized by us according to the preamble of that constitution that we authorized, we made that constitution. And so this individual who is of that of the small group, who is part of that small group that has hijacked the federal government of Nigeria. The federal government hijacked the federation from the regions at the point in 1967 when the 4 regions got broken down into 12 states. That was the point at which the federal government of the time, hijacked in fact, the illicit federal government of the time, because there was still disputation. There was serious disputation that took them to Aburi to say, look, let us put it back to what we agreed originally. In the middle of that disputation, an illicit federal government headed by Yakubu Gowon, thank goodness is still alive, to see the catastrophic end of the calamity they imposed on us. And so it was from that point on the 27th of May in 1967, when the 4 regions that made up Nigeria, the Federation of Nigeria, got broken and fractured into 12 states. And the federal government, that illicit federal government, took over the assets of those regions progressively. That was how the oil and gas assets of those who own it were lost. That was how the ports, both of Lagos and Port Harcourt and everywhere in between, got lost to the federal government because it was put on the exclusive list, by that illicit federal government. Now, that's the second layer. The federal government has hijacked the federation to become the owner of everybody. Union office has become the owner of the owners of the businesses that were unionizing. It went further bad when a small section of the country now hijacked that federal government. That's where we are now. That's why if you make a map of Nigeria, and I challenge anybody who has ever been in a geography class, anybody who has ever seen a map, to put the map of Nigeria on the table and begin to put on that map the principal officials, the principal heads of all the agencies of the Nigerian government today, starting with those who carry arms. Put them on that map according to where they come from, and you will see the picture that will emerge. Bring an NPC, put on that map the topmost, managers or directors or whoever is controlling it from the GMD, you put all of them, write their name and put according on their community on that map. Those from Kano, put them in the Kano space. By the time you finish, you will see what has happened to us. As it is with army, so it is with police, so it is with Air Force, so it is with DSS, so it is with immigration, so it is with customs. Get there on that map and look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you are still in a federation. The reason it is so is that the union agreement that guaranteed equal partnership in the union have been toppled. Yeah. Those who impose unilaterally what we have now in turn also hijacked that federal government, which was already illicit. So we are on a free fall. We are trapped in the middle of an evil forest, of a forest of 1,000 demons. That's why Nigeria, with all its endowments and potentialities, have remained just a sad tale on every area of human endeavor. Whereas Nigerians are not. You can't outdo them. Whether you were in Europe or you were in US, anywhere you go, the Nigerians, the human resources available here can lift Africa, out of the doldrums. But why are they not at home generating electricity? They are in Oklahoma generating electricity. They are in Dubai organizing water supply. But you have a Nigeria in which some strangers have managed to hijack all the assets by the instrumentality of the constitution which they imposed. And they didn't stop there, they put your signature as the one who authorized, who wrote it. We are the ones who agreed that we should now be 36 states that do not contribute anything to how anything is done. We authorized 704 local government areas, in which Kano alone has 44 units, and Bayelsa, from which the oil must be taken, has only 8. And you can't touch it, you can't do anything about it, because in the National Assembly, where they're beckoning all of us to come, in the National Assembly, where they're hoping that on amendments, you impose a constitution, you impose a forgery, because as long as our signature is the authorization for that instrument, it is a forgery. It's as plain as that. You impose that forgery that creates all these structures, National Assembly, with all of the 109 senatorial seats, 3 senators per state. How did we come about those states in those numbers? Who created those states? You take it from Gowon down to Murtala Mohammed, down to Bangida and Abacha. Where were the officers from the rest of the country? Going back to that map, put on that map all of those who created those states and council areas, and you see that not one of them come from the other side of the country. So having created
Mr.
that,
Tony, let me highlight something to you quickly, yeah?
Yes.
During the week, I had some few programs in which we raised a point to say, when they were dividing Kano into 3, to give them 9, it used to have 3 senatorial seats before, to make 9 senatorial seats. They wanted to divide Ogun State into 2.
Yes.
But the people in Ogun State, because of bad mind, stupidity, kick against it. I'm not saying creation of states is the best way forward.
Let's not, please. Let's not waste time with such a. This is now diversion from the main.
Okay.
Does anybody have the right to break a federation down into a unitary state that now has all these mushroom, you call states?
Yeah.
That's the issue. If the people of Ogun State who are closer, maybe they learned from Awolowo what a federation means, and they didn't see the benefit of fracturing themselves further and further, because for every one state, additional state created, the federating units become weaker against the central government that grows stronger. Every further fractionalization, weakens the federating unit, and that was the reason for even creating the 12 states, to weaken eastern region of the time, to prevent eastern region from declaring itself Biafra in 3 days. So it was done it was done in mischief. You can't build anything on such. We can see now where it has gotten to, that the states are not able to, if minus Lagos State, perhaps, the other states, we've heard it repeatedly from people in government, that the states cannot pay, they can't sustain themselves for even 1 month. How much more 1 year? And you are a state, you are blowing siren, you are chief security officer, you don't control one gun. You can't license business. You can't do the road that goes from your capital to the other because it belongs to the federal. 68 items. And people actually go and buy form to contest the election under that kind of constitution, and they are just deceiving themselves and deceiving the millions of ignorant people who do not know, the populace that is not in any position to know why they don't have electricity. Because of what they get for themselves. All of those who go to buy form to contest election under this constitution are doing so clearly, in the knowledge that these things are like this, that the people are going to get more miserable, poorer, but that they themselves who win the election and who have to swear to defend and uphold that constitution and govern by that constitution are going to make the benefits, the profits that accrue to them, whether as senators that take away 50 million every month or as governors that go to collect 5 or 10 billion every month. That's all they're after. That's the reason Nigeria has become the poverty capital of the world, because the assets are sequestered by those who have hijacked the federation and their allies and agents of darkness from our midst, from the south and middle belt particularly. Every one person who is prepared to govern any piece of Nigeria under this constitution is the enemy of those people being tormented by poverty, being tormented by Fulani herdsmen that are killing them, being tormented by police that's not accountable to them, because that constitution authorizes all those things. And those people who emerge in public office, you can see what they take home. They have protection from you. The police is there to shield them from you. The army is there to protect them from you. The money they collect is enough to take them and their children to Switzerland or US, wherever they wish to live on the face of the earth. That's what's going on. So they have become a part of the criminal enterprise for the benefit they get for themselves. And young people pour out of schools every other day. You can see the number of them. There's no economy to absorb them. They now begin to run helter-skelter all over the world. So those who are talking about restructuring, let us break down some of the terminologies that have characterized this debate. Those who are talking about resource control are saying, let us go back to what we agreed in Lancaster House, in which the assets of the federating regions, the federating units, will belong to them, and they will contribute whatever we all agree for the upkeep of the center in the limited roles we assign the center. It's not this federal government that will assign to itself. It is the federal government is the business of the federating region. That's the meaning of a federation. The federation is the business of the federating units. They now define the common services they want to, more or less, how do you call it? Delegate to a union office. Okay, let all of us not go have different currencies. Let there be some common currency. Union office, you take care of that. Let there be some common telecommunication codes. Union office, you take care of that. Little things like that. In the matter of defense, since a foreign country can threaten us if we don't organize better, union office, look, let us have a clear strategy of how we're going to hold our own in the global arrangement. But even at that, the guns in the land, what Nigeria agreed, what they went to try to finalize in Aburi, which was abandoned, and for which reason we have landed where we've landed now, is that the guns in that federation will be in the hands of people of the federating units. That is, if there are guns in Western region, it will be under the command of Yoruba officers. If there are guns in Eastern region, whether it's of police or army, it must be people just like the UK. We're surprised that Britain will still not want to reason up till now. all of the things they arranged for their own federation, for their own union. They impose the opposite on us and stand like people who have lost their mind, who have no capacity to think, to be telling us that we have to make do with the opposite. Are there English officers carrying guns around Scotland today? What is the reason for that arrangement? Are there Welsh officers carrying guns on the soil of England today? What's the reason for that arrangement? Why can't we make a similar arrangement to assure everybody's safety, unlike what we have seen? Let those who can research find out the reason Wolowo did not move in a different direction from the time he came back from prison. The guns in Yoruba land were in the hands of people who could just begin to shoot at Yoruba people with no fallback in terms of defense. And that was the whole thing that went to Aburi. Let us, now the assets already belong to the regions, but the ones with guns are jumping into everybody's space. Let us find out how the Constitution of Western Region got suspended in May of 1962. Nigeria was in fact stillborn. Was it not the election because of the manipulations of the owners of the enterprise, the British, that set it up for their own self, with their joint venture partners who also came from outside on a conquest mission? It was the thing they manipulated that put Nigeria to death at the point of independence. And then 6 years down the road, instead of going to fix it, we now compounded it. It was incomplete decolonization of Nigeria. Incomplete decolonization of Nigeria that led to the events of 1960, which took Awolowo to prison and which consumed the Constitution of Western Region on the 29th of May in 1962. It was the collapse of that one leg of the three regions that were federating that led to the collapse of law and order in Western Region that became Wild Wild West. And then managing it through to the point where another election came, and instead of going to fix that constitutional damage underneath, they went on to another election, and it became something that caught fire. It became Wild Wild West, and then the soldiers came to put out the fire. That was how we landed on January 15 in 1966. From that point, those who knew what the problem was said, let us go and solve it. They went to Aburi. They agreed on everything. And then those who felt they had cornered the guns in the land came back and abandoned the agreement and started killing people, killing 3.5 million people in the eastern half of southern Nigeria, who were trying to just, get rid of this imposition, trying to just be by themselves within their right to self-determination, because their right to self-determination upon which they entered into this federation at independence had been truncated and overtaken. And we now went into a union of imposition. Those who are seeking restructuring are asking for a union of agreement. Those who are seeking for resource control are asking for a union of agreement in which their assets will belong to them one more time. Those who say they are fed up and they want to leave the union, whether as Oduduwa Republic or as Biafra Republic, again, they are saying exactly the same thing. These are constitutional grievances. The terms of our federating have been truncated by some people who are not willing to listen. If after 50 years, 55 years of waiting, nobody is willing to listen, they've come to the point where they say, look, Nigeria has become a union of death for us, a union of attrition for us, a union of backwardness, where mediocrity rules over excellence, where falsehood rules over truth. That's why we have a constitution that says we the people, and all of us know we didn't make any constitution. And there are lawyers, all the senior advocates, professors of law, going around and deceiving people. And there are people in the Senate, there are people in Abuja, there are people in all the government houses across the land who know that this is the source of the problem. This is why the union is dying. This is why the citizens are poor. It will never get better. You are going to hear about another price increase on all kinds of commodities that the federal government only can give you. Electricity is one. You saw the one that happened 300% in one fell swoop. What is there in the electricity generation and transmission that will become the exclusive business of the federal government? And then some lunatics gather in Abuja to say they are the ones who have to continue to suppress. They have hijacked our sovereignty. All of those who are sitting in the National Assembly of Abuja of Nigeria and talking about amendment that will cure these matters. How will amendment answer the question of we the people making constitution? How will amendment? Who did we cede our sovereignty to those we elected to go to the legislature? We didn't. But they are joining, aiding, abetting the treason that began in 1999. And if we like 1979, if we like further, we go back to 1967. The treason that began from the point we abandoned our federation and started legitimizing the criminality of pretending that we're still in a federation. All of those in the National Assembly of Nigeria today, particularly the ones from the south of Nigeria and the middle belt of Nigeria, you are aiding and abetting, the treason of seizing our sovereignty, holding on to our sovereignty, and insisting it now belongs to you, to our exclusion. All of those who are choking, this broadcast is intended to let you know that those who are choking and the young people who have come to the end of their endurance, you may molest them, you may freeze their accounts, you may charge them to court or do all kinds of shenanigans. You are not addressing the issues. You are not addressing the issues. Let's look at what has happened from the time they came. They say SARS was hitting at them. Beyond SARS, we saw that there were many other issues they raised. Instead of addressing those issues, you grab the preliminary demand. That preliminary demand is like the amnesty in the Niger Delta, resource control fight. By the time the government came to where they couldn't, maneuver the matter of producing crude any further, they came to negotiate for ceasefire, for how the agitation could be could be halted. Those who were doing the fight were being hunted like criminals by the Nigerian state. Instead of setting up negotiation, when they finally came to where they needed to talk to anybody, they went and the people said, "Look, you can't be hunting us like criminals, and you say we should stop, and therefore you have come to. Who are you going to discuss with? What if on our way to coming to the meeting you shoot us, because that's what it has become from your response all the years we were saying these things, more mildly. You were shooting at us. Now it's an all-out fight, all-out war. If you want us to discuss, you have to declare amnesty. You have to accept that we have not committed any offense. That was a preliminary demand to make way for discussion that will involve the actual people fighting. The government took that, accepted that amnesty so that they can come forward. But immediately, they went coming forward. The whole thing was now abandoned as if it was amnesty they were fighting for. Where are we now? Has the problem that led to the agitation been addressed to this date?
No.
And people are sitting in Abuja talking about what is it called, petroleum industry bill, all kinds of nonsense. You don't want to address the source of the problem. You're addressing the little manifestations that even in 50 years, 100 years, do not solve the problem. Why can't we go back to sitting down to discussing on what terms did the people submit the Jolans into your union? Because that was the question Asari raised in his treason trial of 2007. Now, the same thing has happened with SARS. These people say the immediate trigger is the SARS, the people that were shooting at us, let us do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to, immediate. The main demand of what happened to electricity, the main demand of what happened to rule of law, the main demand of what happened to accountability, what's happening with corruption, what's happening with elections that will always be upside down. The system is again avoiding it and telling the whole world, oh, we have accepted their demand. How long will you continue to deceive yourself? Where will it take you? Because those who you say you are meeting their demand, but you are freezing their account.
That one shouldn't be a problem, because when they finally return, then you know it will be more problematic, Tony. You can.
That is why we're shouting now, because as usual, people like us are going to tell them, look, there's no road here. When they get to that place they are going to be the ones running with looking for where to escape to. And the institutions, those courts in Nigeria, they have been using to get all kinds of orders. The one the central bank approached, the one that the nasty fellow that says he's suing celebrities, all of those things, those courts that are making themselves available to undermine the peace of society by granting orders by which other people have been injured. Those institutions might put themselves on the firing line with that mob. If that mob, if that crowd of protesters, whether they are peaceful or the riotous ones that came later, if those institutions don't stop in terms of stopping in making themselves available for the system to torment people, those institutions might welcome into the focus of those who have been tormented. Let us be mindful of these matters. We have a chance to accept we have a problem. That problem is this constitution that has ruined everything, that is taking us to where we're just heading for a catastrophic collapse, that can only reduce the citizens to, and the peoples of the land, we don't even have citizens. The peoples of the land who are disputing the union agreement as truncated and replaced unilaterally. That's what the issue is. All the agitations are a rejection of the unilateral alteration of the union agreement, which you call the Constitution. All of those who are still talking about the Nigerian Union must now accept that if we don't go to address this problem, this union might go up in flames. People are fed up with being slaves in their homeland. The minority that gather in Abuja in the name of that constitution to share the monies among themselves, excluding the citizens and rendering their lives unlivable in 68 ways. Every single thing that they could have been doing for themselves as federating units or individuals that you do not allow them to do, the reward for it is the money you share in Abuja. Money taken by force from them, because the oil and gas assets that Nigeria sells and shares the money over the heads of the owners, in the eyes of those owners, Nigeria has become a criminal enterprise. The port assets of Lagos, from which Nigeria takes 2 trillion and more every year, collected by people who are not of Yoruba stock, people who are from only that one part that owns the enterprise, that said they are born to rule others. I tell you, in the eyes of the Yoruba, Nigeria has become a criminal enterprise. You are holding on to everybody's assets with a forged instrument. They are willing to come to discuss with you after almost 55 years of enduring it. They are being killed in large numbers across board, South and Middle Belt, whether as herdsmen or rogue. We now hear about hoodlum, soldier, hoodlum. Government saying that soldiers were hoodlums in uniform. Except we have a hoodlum government.
Yes.
Somebody has, as a commander-in-chief over that army. Yes. Somebody has to account, somebody has to tell us Somebody has to take responsibility for who in your uniform has gone to do this kind of a thing.
True. Can I?
We can't continue to embarrass ourselves before the global community.
Yeah. Tony, can I say something? Right?
Yes.
Everybody that have been part of this problem, that have been aiding and abetting this government, we want to give you a deadline till the end of the year. If you don't change your ways of life, we will not forget. We personally make sure that we don't forget.
There will be a formal engagement. The reason we made our time to begin to talk to our people in this manner we're talking now is because there's an intervention. There's a formal engagement with this whole situation by those who have been at the receiving end. And there's something we call, the Constitution is a social contract. I was going to define a few terms. The Constitution is the union agreement, and it's also a social contract.
Yes.
What is it that brought all of us together? Instead of being by various selves, but we're now in a union called Nigeria. It is a social contract. Social contract in which our sovereignties will be submitted into a common pool, or aspects of our sovereignty, not all of our sovereignty. Yoruba is in that social contract because it will give them a wider economic field to play. It will give them better security cover because everybody is doing it as we agreed. Ijaw came into that social contract. Igbo came into that social contract. That was what they were discussing in Lancaster House. Fulani is in that social contract. Now, that social contract have been unilaterally truncated and replaced by something of imposition. That social contract that came by agreement of Lancaster House has been replaced by imposition that came from 66, progressively to now, encapsulated in the 1999 Constitution. So the union agreement we call the 1999 Constitution is a dummy away from the union agreement that brought us into being a union. And therefore, the social contract emanating from that original agreement, having been abandoned, those who are the receiving end, those whose assets have been seized, those who are now facing ethnic cleansing from people who want to exterminate them and take over their lands permanently, have organized themselves, and they are going to in the coming days, they are raising a proposition for how this matter can be resolved within a time frame. What South Africa did in 1990 with apartheid constitution after 80 years. Our own has not gone 80 years. We just came in 1999. It's just 21 years. But South Africa did everything to sustain apartheid from 1910 until the point where nobody was allowed to function. And the government of the day, under Frederick de Klerk, had the wisdom to accept that the apartheid constitution of master and servant could no longer carry their society. And they went into a transition to go discuss what will become the replacement. That is where Nigeria has arrived now. All of those who are agitating for one thing or the other are now coming together, including the ones who did the protest. Everybody now realizes that it is this constitution, whether it is agitation of resource control, or agitation of Odua Republic, or agitation of regional autonomy, or OPC that wanted to control only their security, and all of that. Where it has come to is that the 1999 Constitution has finally been identified to them as the source of all of what they are contending with. And this proposition is coming from all of those who have been expressing these various grievances in their various ways, including the ones who are armed and the ones who are just doing it in whatever way they deem fit. There is a measured and formal engagement in which there will be a time frame within which all things will be kept in the past. But if those who, especially those who are still discussing election in 2023 under this constitution, what the people who impose that constitution are doing now, and this message is for the people who are dragging, they want the governor in Ebonyi, for instance, all of those who are positioning themselves in Eastern Nigeria to come and be president. Those who impose this constitution of death on the rest of us, they now know that the owners of the signature validating the document are pulling back their signature. Therefore, the document must go down. They want to save that document by throwing up power. Oh, you come and do small. Come and preside over the robbery gang for now. But the structures will remain.
Yeah.
Obasanjo was president for 8 years. What did it? Did it bring back Yoruba sovereignty or ownership over their assets as they had under World War? It didn't. Jonathan was president for over 6 years. Did it alter the situation of the Ijaw in terms of who owns Papa's land? It didn't. So, those who are discussing whose turn it is, equity. Oh, you now remember equity? We whose turn it is, Amiibo, we whose turn is this, are saying thank you for remembering equity in the whole transaction. But you know what? We want a renegotiation, a reconstruction, a fundamental reconfiguration of the union agreement. That is what is important to us now. If you are not listening to us and you want to save that master servant, that apartheid-like constitution, by throwing in a quid pro quo style the presidency of Nigeria to the eastern part, I can assure us that those people you want to go to give does not, those people do not have, none of them has the support or endorsement of we who realize that we who have made up our mind that we don't want to be slaves in our land anymore, that we don't want to do any further business under that constitution, that will not go to any further elections under that constitution. If you like to set up the head-on coalition that it will translate to, all of those who want to go and be president of Nigeria from Eastern Nigeria, you are putting yourself on a head-on coalition with the people who are now being rendered slaves in their land, with all the consequences of it, and it will be individual responsibility for making yourself available. The political parties that are not listening to any of us now and still discussing with those who are holding us hostage on how to go to elections in 2023 under this constitution, you are putting yourself on a head-on coalition with these people who are being killed, with these people who have been impoverished, with these people whose future have been mortgaged. They now know what the problem is. Elections will not solve the problem. We've been having elections since 1999. The problems have been growing. If instead of listening now, you want to, I even hear that some of the young people who participated in the protest have been encouraged to go and form Young People's Party to come and do what? By which what constitution are they going to govern? Will it be a different INEC that will conduct this election? And even if you hand over to them, say, okay, all of you come and govern, would they not have 36 states liability and 7 and 4 local government liability and 68 item liability? Where does that lead? We have the solution to the problem. You are avoiding the solution, bribing everybody you can find to bribe. Oh, come and partake. Everybody's promised presidency. Those charlatans from Eastern Nigeria discussing the presidency of Nigeria with you in 2023 under this constitution, they will soon seek your help to save themselves from their people, because they're going to be treated as the traitors they are.
Yes. 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 Wow, 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 wow. There are so many traitors among us. I want to appreciate everybody that's watching this program. I want to even thank the people that are causing commotion on the line, because some people were there. They were just talking jargons. This is an educative platform. This is not a boxing platform. This is an eyes opener platform. We don't want to fight anybody. I just want you to listen and take it on board and pick what you want to pick from there. If you think it's not important for you to listen to this young man who are really educating a lot of people and people are very happy with, please, you are free to go. We're not tying you down here. You you can go and do something else. Go and use your time for something better. We don't want no comparison because we're working with all the stakeholders on these issues. We want to learn. One man does not make a forest. So let this man say his own. We're picking a lot of things from there. And from the other people's comments, you can hear it, you can read it, that they love what this man is preaching. They love what he's preaching. They like it. They're happy. Somebody came here for the first time and said, oh, bring this man every week so that I can educate us. This man is here every week. For the last 4 weeks. This man is here every week and has been pouring tons and tons and tons of information to us. And we're not paying him. And he's using his money to buy the data. Last week we were using phone and the system together because last week there was so much issues with the connection. Even this morning I was thinking there's going to be issues with connection. So we make contingency plan already to say if there's an issue with the connection, what we're going to do is we're going to use the system for the video and we use WhatsApp for the connection or direct call for the connection. So my phone is fully loaded for the connection, ready for it. So if it doesn't work, we will make sure it works. Please don't fight. Don't come and fight here. I think it's gone. I think it's. I haven't blocked him. What I did is I tried to. What did I try to do to him? I delete his comments, but I don't know why he wants to fight. Look, went off. If you want to fight, go and fight the boy Boko Haram. I don't know why you can't go and fight them. Right? Please, brother, let us be civil about everything we do. I'm going to leave you on. I'm not going to take you yet. But if you don't cooperate with what we're doing here, please go somewhere else. There's no point in coming here to come and make trouble. Anyway, if you're joining me for the first time, remember what I said before. Please like the broadcast. Teresa, you two want to start that. Please. Don't do that, please. Let's do it right.
What are they doing really? What are they doing really?
They were passing some few stupid comments. But Teresa's one is not too bad.
They can only advertise their ignorance. Bring it up. They are advertising their ignorance.
Because people love what we're talking about this morning. People love what we're discussing. Please. So let us just go and do it the right way and get it done right. Yeah. Let's go. We can. It was so many years anniversary of Ken Saro-Wiwa some few days ago, and when I look back at it, it was very painful. How can they kill a man and pour acid on his body? What kind of government is this? All because he speaks up for his right. What is right for him? I put you in my house. I allow you into my house. Then you want to take over my house completely. Who among you will do that? I remember some few years ago, when we first started, the story actually ended last year. These two guys, one man and a woman, they came to Heritage and they want to be doing some program with us. And after some few months, they're trying to be more and more part of the system. I don't care. They want to know more and more and more and more and more and more. And then they talk about being a shareholder at Heritage. I said, no, we don't want you to be shareholder. Teach us what you do. No, you go on the internet and learn yourself. You know, these people nearly took over Heritage from me. They fight tooth and nail. They want to do what the Fulani are doing to me. To you guys now, they want to do it to me. But the difference is that I stand up immediately. I didn't let them creeping, beep and beep. No, I stand up immediately. They've gone to establish their own prime view. I would call their name out. They did everything possible to take it from me. But you're not a visionary. Why do you want to do it that way? It's not going to work. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Mr. Tony Nandi for what he's been doing today and what he's been doing in the last few weeks for us. He's here every week for your information. And he's here to stay because we are getting fed with a lot of information here and we love it. We just don't like it. We love it with all our heart because we're learning. And the more you learn, the better it is for you. So, God, I want to thank you. I'm going to open the phone line in about half an hour, maybe in about half an hour, so that we can ask questions. We can know. Some people are saying, what is the next thing? No, you don't go and start mending house from the top. You go to the root, dig it, shovel it, if possible, demolish the building so that it can come back stronger. Thank you very much, Mr. Tony. So, we know all this. 68 exclusive list. Let's go deeper. 68 exclusive list.
68 items of exclusive list.
can we list them one by one and start analyzing them? Is that something we should start today? Maybe we should pick about...
what we can do so that we don't lose our people in the labyrinth of information.
Yeah.
Let us just take the ones they can
understand.
They are familiar with.
Yeah. The power, the roads.
Yes.
The waterway they're trying to creep in.
We may begin with arms and ammunition, or that exclusive list. The reason we start from the problem they know, the malaria they are seeing, before we begin to find out how the mosquito got to them, so that they can know that their malaria is coming. Imagine somebody who is ignorant of the fact that malaria comes from mosquito.
Yeah,
that's what it is. All of the people who are arguing about let's go and do it this way or not the other way, they are just like people arguing that, look, leave mosquitoes alone, small beings. Don't you sympathize with mosquito? Let us go and solve malaria. That's what it is. Now, the people that are protesting about SARS is part of your police. And SARS is happening because that policing system is centralized. Even some people said it on the floor of National Assembly the other time, shouting that this centralized security arrangement is not working, is never going to work. Because in that over-centralization, they're not accountable to anybody. IG Special Squad, IG Monitoring Unit, every day a new thing is thrown up. SWAT. What is wrong in allowing those who have to protect themselves to make the arrangement, as it is done all over the world? You say no. You are the one that will sit in Abuja and know who is stealing goat in Mushi, or who goes to molest underage children in Agrenebode. You are just wasting your time. It can only get worse.
Do you know Agrenebode, Tony? You know Agrenebode? Is that where you're from?
In the nature of what we do, in the nature of what we do, we've been all around the country, all around. There's no community of people that we haven't had occasion to go to ask what their pains are and what needs to be from Badagry to Sokoto, and from Boni to Maiduguri, everything in between. We've gone round in course of this, trying to get everybody to see that we have a problem that we need to solve, and that we can solve it by dialogue, by discussion. But the few people who have cornered the guns in the land feel that their guns will prevail. There's nothing to discuss. We've conquered you. We're born to rule you. The type of thing Rufai goes, the arrogance of thinking that you're just going to prevail because everybody's going to be afraid. Unfortunately for all of you, unfortunately for all of those who are living in that illusion and delusion, the documents by which the foundations of Nigeria, were laid are in our hands. We had to get at the documents by whatever means. And the most important thing we saw in that document, in one of the documents, is that the British, in laying the foundation of Nigeria, had 3 principles they outlined for how to work the system, the terrible system they were setting up. The 3 most important principles. The first is ignorance. The second is fear. The third is military terrorism. I'm talking to us about documents that predate 1914. The principles that went into the foundation. They say there has to be ignorance introduced. That is, ignorance will rule over knowledge in that union they are creating. Fear will be a constant feature so that nobody will question anything that is being done. And if anybody does, government will be terror unto such people. As I speak with you, all of what became our constitutional instruments around that has now produced in the matter of ignorance, quota system, in the matter of fear, this kind of intimidation you see going on, in the matter of terror, Abacha even confirmed it, that if there's any such thing as Petition, like the Boko Haram we have now, that if it lasts beyond a week, that the government has a hand in it. And so, everything you have seen happening, everything that may happen yet, except we take down this bad arrangement, were designed to happen that were crafted to happen that way. So we were talking about the 68 items on the exclusive list. It is because arms, ammunition, police are on the exclusive list that you can no longer organize your security, which you have capacity, more than enough capacity, more than enough competence to organize for yourself. But those who want to hold all the guns to themselves are the ones insisting that we must do it for you. So whoever they send to you as police is what you must have. Whatever they deliver to you, including SARS, is what you must have. There's no recovery from that situation, except this constitution goes down. Anybody who is telling you any other thing, I hear some people talking about state police. What is the meaning of state police? If you are not in control of your assets, it's a comprehensive thing. If we don't, it's a foundation that has gone bad. It's a foundation that has gone bad. If you go and every crack, like Oshiba was talking about cracked walls, every crack you see, you go and patch. The foundation is sinking further and further. The building will crack further and further until it collapses, really.
Yes.
So police is just one of the cracks. If you go and do state police and your assets are still detained, the assets by which you generate the income to pay the police and manage them the way they will function well, is still in the hands of those who you are now doing state police with. State police is not, you cannot go and solve one item. If you do state police, it's just one item out of 68. How will you generate electricity? If you go and do state police, okay, all of us will have state police, but you cannot generate electricity or transmit. How will you build the economy that will finance the rest of your operations? So electricity generation and transmission is the exclusive business of the federal government under this constitution. Exclusive business of federal government. So no matter how much capacity you have to generate electricity, no matter how much you desire it, the powers that be, those who own Nigeria, have decreed that you cannot have electricity except as they give to you. And we have characters like Fashola sitting in Abuja, a lawyer, telling us about how he's going to go from 5,000 megawatts to 10,000 megawatts for a country of 200 million people, as if we're in the 5th century, not 21st century. You go from there, nothing is going to give you electricity as long as this constitution is standing. Take it to the bank. And if you say, okay, let us just go and alter that small part, you still have 67 other things to deal with. You come to the matter of these refineries, the petroleum products that are never available. It's because the refineries and the petroleum and gas are on that exclusive list. What is there in heating up and cracking carbon, liquid or gas? To extract what you call petrol and diesel? Nothing. Biafra vehicles moved inside Biafra for the 3 years because refineries were working inside Biafra. It's just boiling to say, these ones you see them go chase, you see them send Navy people everywhere to say, oh, people who are doing illegal whatever refining in the creeks. There's nothing in it really. You only need to put standard equipment and be accountable to the owners of the crude. Why is it only the federal government that can do that? Why are the federating units unable to license people? They don't even need to set up the refineries themselves. They should be in a position to license and regulate those who have to do it in their spaces because of environmental concerns and other concerns of stakeholding. And so nothing will improve in the matter of availability of petroleum products as long as that constitution is standing. Anybody who does not know is just ignorant, dishonest, or greedy. Those who are making profit from it are the ones who are making sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The ones who are selling generators are the ones who say electricity can remain on an exclusive list because of the humongous profits they make. The ones who are enjoying the fuel subsidy regime, billions and billions and billions, are the ones who are making sure that refineries will never work. It's their business for refineries never to work. But the enablement is your constitution that puts that item on the exclusive list. Elections, you see people, NGO, free, fair election, all kinds of things come and electoral reform, and you see people you thought had education going to talk about electoral reform in a situation where there's a centralized electoral system in a federation, so that people can sit in Abuja and decide for everybody. You only need to go to Abuja to work out your salvation. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrated criminal in your community. That's how we got this kind of charlatans who populate both the executive and the legislative branches of government. You come to see even the judiciary. It is the constitution that puts the control of the judiciary in the hands of the executive.
Government. Yes.
What kind of justice system can you get? In all the other jurisdictions, the law enforcement is superintended over by the judicial branch. And then you are in the UK there.
Yeah.
The policeman who has to come to search will have to go get the warrant of a judge, or who has to detain you, has to come to, even if it's by 11 p.m., you can go to the magistrate and say, look, we need to do this. The magistrates will, because it's a standard thing, go search. They write something and pass to you through the window. You can go but you cannot invade the privacy of a citizen without the authorization of the court. And so if the court makes an order, because the police system is under their own, immediate
control,
supervision, if you put it in the hands of the executive, what we see now is what you continue to see, where the president can send anybody to anywhere to go and do anything in any part of the country, and there's nothing the judiciary can do for you. And even in the regular business of the judiciary, they make an order. From the time the judiciary makes a pronouncement, if there's rule of law, the law enforcement will take it from that hour, that minute, and enforce it. But because the police system is sequestered to that executive branch, the judges make their order, then somebody in the executive branch will go and sleep over it and make up his mind, the one to obey and the one not to obey. And you see lawyers going about talking about rule of law. I saw one of them, a former president of the association, not the immediate, they're talking this morning on TV, talking about rule of law. Under this constitution, anybody who is discussing rule of law and how to enthrone it under this constitution does not understand the meaning of rule of law. Because if we're going to have the rule of who makes that law, why will we circumvent the basis? Is it the business of government to make constitution like we have seen them making for us? And the ones still gathered in Abuja talking about how to make, since we are complaining, then let us, the owners of our sovereignty, are still discussing how to make constitution that will become better than the one we had, the one we're rejecting, the one we have repudiated.
Okay, let me try and address.
You are all committing treason against the rest of us. For every day that document is kept alive,
Yeah.
For every attempt to go to another election under it, it is treason you are committing against those whose sovereignty have been hijacked by the Nigeria of imposition.
Okay. Tony, let me highlight something quickly. Some people are asking, do we think by talking about it is going to bring the constitution down? Let me just add. Either the government is carrying AK-47, they believe in AK-47, they believe in Fulani herdsman, they believe in hoodlums, they believe in whatever they like, Boko Haram, to use against us. When the vehicle was driven over people's leg and they refused to stand up because they realized what they were fighting for. When you know what you're fighting for, it's easier for you to keep fighting. If you don't know what you're fighting for, after sometimes people will convince you and you will give up. The more we do this, the more the youth will know what is there. Because when they end the NSAS protest, there are some few things that was not very clear to them. And those things are more clear to them now. That this government will deceive them to get them off the streets, and they will punish them and deal with them. It had happened in the past, and it's happening now, and it's still going to happen in the future. So when these youth come back on the street, which I believe no matter how long it takes them to come back to the street, when they try to deceive them again, they will not listen. They will not listen, they will not buy the idea, and they will not going to fall for the stupidity of the whole time that they use for them. So let's educate people, let's enlighten people, let's make more people aware of the issues and the problem. And until more people is aware of what the problem is for real, then that is when our problem is getting solved bit by bit. These people will not give in. They're never gonna give in. But let more people know about the problems. Let them know the truth. The Bible said you shall know the truth and the truth will set you free. Let's educate people. Let them see the truth. Let them see the light. Because if they don't know the fundamental of the issues and the problem, we're not going anywhere. Guys, we need to get this one clear. Right? And you need to do your bit. I am doing my bit. Tony is doing your bit. Some of us are doing our bit. But our bit is not. I think the presenter needs to get translator for Igbo and Yoruba, Hausa, and other language people, because many people still not getting it. It is not that they're not getting it. It's just the stupidity. You understand? We're not taking calls yet, please, guys. We're not taking calls yet. You need to give us a little bit of more time. We're not taking calls yet, so please give me a little bit of more time. I think we'll start taking calls in the next few minutes or so. But when we start taking calls, I will make sure, the gentleman on the phone now, I will make sure you're one of the first people I call back myself. So please be expecting my call. You can put the phone down. So the more people that knows about this, that is when they will know exactly what is happening. Unless we educate, unless this, before Tony started coming on this program, there are so many things I didn't know. And there's so many people, so many of you did not know. But now with this, people are getting to know things. And this is not the only one we're doing. We talked about yesterday, we have the amalgamation explained. The issue with amalgamations, the problems. Some people called me, they said they couldn't sleep all night. They were angry all night after watching that program. So many people have called me immediately after Tony's program to say, where did you find this man? Where is he hiding all this time? And I think last week I asked Tony, I said, Tony, why have you not been pumping this information out before? And he said he has been, it's online, but many people are not getting to see it. But now we're pushing it out to everybody's face. And the only good thing you can do yourself is to push it out to more people to see it. Because the more people that see it, the better it is for us. They will not do it. Okay, 1 minute. Let me just read. I'm suspecting the owner of this fraudulent 1999 constitution have used a strong and powerful voodoo to block every Nigerian's brain. Maybe reason why we couldn't understand Nigerian problem is 1999 constitution. Thank you. Let them keep using voodoo. right? Yoruba people say, Koko Laron Faditi. When we keep talking about it, after some time, some people's brain will wake up.
It's not even a matter of speculation. It is real. There's a huge spell, mass spell, cast upon those who ought to be listening and understanding. They are not able to, and they think they are in control of their faculties, whereas they are not. You remember when they were investigating the Dasuki, the one they say money is 4 billion naira of that money went into Marabao. They won the former governor. They said they gave to former governor in Sokoto, Bafarawa. 4 billion for Marabao. What does Marabao do other than to cast spell and do all such things as now alleged? So they say that if anybody is still in the foolishness of thinking that it's not happening, you better go check yourself. There's of course a huge spell cast on this large population to behave like sheep and goats, to embrace ignorance. And those who laid the foundation of Nigeria, who said they were going to create a situation in which ignorance, because ignorance is what they have used to control the situation, that people will not know. The only reason they are prevailing is that ignorance is there on this scale. And people who should know do not know. Even the lawyers in the land. Go and confront them. Find out how many of them realize that the situation confronting you are coming from this. Ask them why they think. If they say, "Oh, there's corruption," some of them say, "Let's go and fight corruption." Anybody who wants to fight corruption under this constitution is a criminal. Anybody who tells you is fighting corruption under this constitution that creates corruption and protects the beneficiaries of corruption. And if you ask me how, I will tell you that a constitution that absolves government of responsibility towards the citizen has taken the contents of the treasury away from where it should be available to the citizen. A constitution that gives the spare key of the treasury to the president and the governors and gives them immunity, absolute immunity in section 308. And I think I need to be talking about the section so that everybody can ask the lawyers who come to tell them lies in their various meetings. Ask them whether it's not so. Ask them for their own interpretation of those clauses. Section 6C, section 6, subsection 6C is the clause by which chapter 2 is rendered a nullity against you. Useless for you, the one who ought to be the beneficiary of all the good things listed in chapter 2 of your constitution, all the good things that should come to the citizen in the social contract. So if it is so nullified, and you are still hoping that the government owes you school and hospital and good road and all kinds of things that you think your welfare is the first business of government and your security is the first business of government, they are lying to you. And the lawyers who are not telling you so are part of that lie. And if they're ignorant, too bad. Let them just get out of public space and stop deceiving people. Between not owing your obligation and having the spare key to the treasury and having immunity, where else are you setting? What else do you need to do to find where the corruption is flowing from? And the impunity that goes with it.
The day you said that, you explained that online. That night I couldn't sleep. I was thinking they have the key to the treasury. They have immunity that they don't have to do anything for us. And they have to us.
Section 6, subsection 6C of your constitution absolve government of any responsibility towards you. Section 81 and section 82 hands over the spare key to the treasury to your president. Section 121, 122 of your constitution hands the spare key to the treasury to your governors. Section 308 grant all of them absolute immunity, and it's like where the robbery gang draft the security rules for the community. They will say, "Oh, at 8 at night, all lights must be off. All doors must be left open. All back doors must be left open. If you close your own, you are the one who is committing offense." Nigeria has become a criminal enterprise under this constitution. When you consider all factors, you will see that it was designed to be exactly as it is. You can see the beneficiaries on one side. you can see those who suffer, who will die on the other side. But those people who are dying, who have been impoverished, the naira is falling every moment of the day against all currencies. People's incomes have not increased, and labor movement is there going to ask for marginal, like a marjorie. Oh, give us a little more. If they give you 18,000 and then give you 30,000 and then give you 50,000, what 50,000 can buy today? Can you compare it with what 5,000 was buying at the beginning of this republic? So, how do you have such people standing in front, saying they are fighting for what?
And fighting for who?
If they pay the people you are fighting for little salary, who is going to give them the petrol to use? Who is going to give them the electricity to use? Who is going to give them the road to use? Who is going to give them security better than what is generally available? In other climes, labor movement will be interested in this kind of discussion. Why there's misery amongst the masses. But here, no. Their leaders always have where they meet with governors and government and given extra things every now and then, and they're happy. Then you have a bar association that is banding around the constitution that's a fraud. And they have no role at all they want to play. The question, the question that came from the comment about what to do, let us just tell our people the simple thing. This matter can be resolved in a matter of weeks if we put our minds to it. If we don't just talk off and go with our ignorance and not spread the message that will wake up other people so that this action can be taken right now, not tomorrow. All the political parties, those who are asking what exactly do we do to take down this constitution, I want you to listen. All the political parties in Nigeria, now that we realize that the constitution is the source of all the problems, and that it is a choice of life and death, whether we want to keep this constitution for another season or we don't. If we want life, this constitution must go down. If we want death, we can keep it another season. But I'm sure from what our interactions with many people want life. And so, this constitution, being the source of all the problem, all the political parties in Nigeria, if you have pen and paper to write, you can write this down, because you can explain it to the people in the marketplace, in Dubai, in Arara. All the political parties in Nigeria subscribe to that constitution. They are the ones sustaining the life of that constitution. All the political parties, APP, PMP, PDP, APC, ABGA, all of them subscribe to this constitution of death because of the benefit they will get when they win election. They are the ones who contest election that renew the life of that constitution. Nobody else. Only political parties contest election. And if we who have to suffer, when they win, whoever wins will have to swear to and govern by that constitution.
Defend it.
Whoever wins the election will swear to uphold and defend that constitution. Now, we are the ones they invite every 4 years to come and renew the life of that constitution by way of election so that they can continue in their enjoyment and their fabulous rewards. And the rest of us will continue in our slide deeper into the mud of poverty and the debt that comes with poverty and the hopelessness. And so, at this point in time, we knew this thing I'm saying now, we have been saying it since 1999, 3 weeks from the point the constitution came. We raised the alarm because we had seen it in 1979. The provisions were all there. And that was what collapsed the Second Republic. That was what collapsed the Shagaris Republic. These same provisions that rendered life unlivable. So by the time they were bringing it back in 1999, we knew for sure that nothing will improve. It could only get worse. Those in government house, there will be more and more ridiculous. There will be more of everything that went wrong. There will be more impunity. There will be more brigandage. There will be more stealing. There will be more of non-accountability. There will be more of mediocrity. And so, we began to shout, even in that 1999, 3 weeks of the coming of the Constitution, Rotimi Williams, in the midst of all the other lawyers, already pronounced that document, the 1999 Constitution, a forgery and a fraud on account of having been alleged to be made by us in a situation where we never met, how much more agree nor write any constitution. And so, what is our strategy for taking down that constitution at this time? That is within our hand to do. First is to tell the National Assembly and all of those who are going in our name to go and be part of how to manage Nigeria, whether they are governor or councillor or House of Assembly member or senator or president. All of us will have those who are suffering from these things we have listed. If you want security for your life, if you want ownership of your asset, if you want to be in charge of selecting and electing who will govern you, if you want corruption to cease, if you want rule of law to come, all of these things, people who want all of that must be firm at this point to say that the constitution that guarantees the opposite cannot be basis of any further national elections. This campaign was the reason why we called the owners of Nigeria in what became Pronaco in 2005. This campaign was the reason we went to court in 2007 to say, look, let us do it in an orderly way to decommission this constitution. This campaign was why the nationalities, the federating blocs began to think of what to do if somebody is not going to listen. Yoruba began to think of how to work out their salvation and leave the union of death.
The union
Those
of
who
death.
are talking about Biafra began to think of, look, whatever it is, anything but Nigeria. The middle belt where people are being killed house to house have also come to that feeling now. We have become a majority because the alliance of the South and Middle Belt, the one we call the MNN Alliance, is the alliance against that constitution. Is the alliance to take down that constitution. The only thing remaining now is for the balance of the populace, those who were not involved before, those who did not know before. If you want extrication, if you want the collapse of that constitution, if you want an end to that master servant constitution, your role now is to look at the political parties and tell them to their faces that they cannot take you to another election under this constitution. The federating blocs already repudiated the constitution, like I narrated before. The Yoruba had done, the East had done, the Middle Belt had done, repudiating that constitution. The only people holding on to it are those ones sharing your blood every month in Abuja. With no part of what they get meant for you. They know no part of it is meant for you. Their children can go in private, in chartered flights back to school in Oxford and Harvard. But you have to make do with salaries that may come once in 6 months. And so, it is to stop the political parties from taking us to any further elections under this constitution. Tell them, whether they are your cousins or your nephews, oh, you want to go in my name to go and get this humongous benefit, pretending to be acting for me, you will not go to another election on the basis of this constitution. We are in a position to stop the political parties in our neighborhood from, let them, their infrastructure must be, they have to stop anything about organizing political parties until we have decided the constitution by which the winner will govern. It is within our reach to do that inside 2020. All the political parties are the ones warming up to renew our enslavement in 2023. We're in a position to tell them to close shop until we have a constitution by which the winner will govern. Is that too much of a task?
No, it's too.
If
it's
we
not
do
too
not
much,
perform
but we
that
need to
task,
enlighten more people before.
That the people who are saying, tell us what, the people who are saying, oh, he's not talking about it. If 5% of the population of Nigeria, a critical 5%, will get to know what they should know about this matter, I can guarantee you it won't take 2 months to come to the end of this trauma. The only reason it's still holding is that this majority, these people that should know, are not knowing. Some are still doing Man U, others are doing Arsenal, the other ones are doing Big Boy Nigeria, whatever they call it. Some are saying, oh, not too young to run, come and contest the election, we'll give you. Deceiving the young people into thinking that it is going to government house. Some say it is leadership. Leadership of what? Can you fetch water with basket? The type of basket they used to carry tomato from Jos? Anybody who is asking you to come and become governor, you'll be the better man. But he gives you this constitution that prevents you from doing anything. That gives you the spare key to take all the contents of treasury. He doesn't want any change for anybody. He's just looking for how to become the stakeholder that will steal the money for the 4 years or 8 years. So the solution, the way to end the life of that constitution is to say in 2020 that we will not go to another round of election that will renew the life of that constitution in 2023. If we say it loud enough in 2020, if we gather those people, there will be a fight, or they may say, oh, why do you say so? Because they already made their calculations. Some even borrow money from bank, sure that it is their turn to be sworn in whenever the ritual of election happens. It is a cheaper fight to undertake to stop them right now. Political parties, you can't take us to another election under this constitution, full stop. If all the young people in this land take that as the task they have to perform, as their contribution to taking down that constitution, because the moment that happens, you know what happens, you know what it means? They are the ones who, the constitution is dead. That's what it means. They are the ones who will be coming to look for how another constitution can be made. Nobody is in any position to begin to point guns at anybody in that kind of discussion. If we refuse to undertake that small fight of stopping our own, this one now, nobody's asking you to go and beat up the president or to go and slap soldier or behead police. No. We are just saying to you, don't look far. Look at your neighborhood. Who are the people doing political party? Ask them, by what constitution will the winner of any election govern? Whether he's governor or senator, or he's going to be president, since it is the turn of the Igbo now to be president. Ask those charlatans, by what constitution are they going to govern? Ask them what magic they will perform to change the key ingredients of that constitution, including the 36 states. That will be the basis of everything, including the representation and the allocation of resources. It is when you ask them these questions that you will see that they are very clear-minded in the criminality they're embarking upon, to go and take their turn on how to rape the virgin. It's their turn to lead the rape. That's when I hear people say it's our turn to go and be president. What comes to what I hear in my inner ear is it's our turn to lead the robbery. It's our turn to lead the rape. You've had your come, it's my turn now. All of those being raped in that manner, if you cannot gather to chase them away from taking you to another round of elections by which they validate for another 4 years the robbery they engaged in, then it must be your fault. Tell me what else you want to do to reverse what they have entrenched. We live in a fractured society. They live in another world. You live in another world. But if you tell them, we have had plenty of elections since 1999, it hasn't added anything to us. Please, we will not go to another one under this constitution. If you don't want to undertake that fight, let me tell you the type of fight that will come to meet you where you are. Just a matter of time. AK-47 in the hands of Fulani herdsmen will turn up at your doorstep at the appropriate time. That is the fight you are prepared. If you are not prepared to fight the political parties from getting to another election, tell them that election is not the solution to this problem. We have repudiated this constitution. We will not go to another election under it. Full stop. If the young people in this land undertake that task, we will be going to a transition immediately. We'll be coming out with constitutions that will be no less, if no worse than what we had up to 66. We might even come out with something that referendums. Some people may decide they don't want to continue in any union with anybody who owes it the duty of faith to kill the others.
Okay.
Anyone who is a feudalist, people will go to referendum. The way to get to referendum is to stop them from renewing the life of this constitution by election in 2023. We are not talking about boycott. Boycott is because people, some traders have turned it all upside down, talking about, they will think we're talking about boycott. Boycott is not what we are discussing. Boycott is staying away from election on voting day. That will be in 2023.
And the election
if you are discussing boycott, election will go ahead. Your boycott may even aid the worst person to emerge, because you can only boycott in your limited area. What we are talking about is the shutting down of the electoral process. It starts with the constituencies, the delineation. There are all kinds of processes, ward primaries, this and the executive, all those things. Ask those political party people, what will be the end product? If we go to another election in 2023, under this constitution, our enslavement will be deepened. The benefit of those who will win on any of the parties' platforms will increase. Is that what we want? The guns will remain in the hands of those who have the guns now, because whoever wins will be at the mercy of those who impose that constitution. Let those who are in the eastern Nigeria plotting who is their better candidate, or in western Nigeria plotting who is their better candidate, those who have lost their title deed by way of that constitution that we've now defeated, we are pulled back our signature. Those in government under this constitution now, there's something called power. There's something called authority. And when we go back to section 14(2)(a) of this constitution that says sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom government through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. Those managing Nigeria under this constitution have lost they do not have the authority to run our lives. They may have the power because they have guns pointing at everybody, but on account of the fact that our consent that is supposed to give life to their instrument is not there. And we're saying we are choking and they're not listening. They have no authority, they have power. The matter of authority is where we freely consent. And that is what that preamble claims, that we freely consent to what they are doing. The rules by which they are working, that evades rule of law.
Yes.
That promotes corruption and shield them.
Let me just speak to the people at home so that they know. The phone line is now open, and I got my first caller on the line for you, Mr. Tony. I got my first caller. Caller, your name and where you're calling from, sir. Caller, hello. Your name and where you're calling from, and make it very brief. Yeah.
My name is Hijacking. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Moderator.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Hijacking. My name is Hijacking George. I'm calling from Nigeria. Yeah. Now, my question is to Mr. Tony. Meanwhile, I want to first appreciate Mr. Tony very well for the good job he's doing. In short, I want to say a very big kudos to you, sir. Thank you so much for the enlightenment, for the knowledge you are sharing. Thank you so much. And I want to thank the Heritage Television also for the good job you guys are doing. Thank you so much, and you keep it up. Now, to Mr. Tony, I've been following you for some times now. I've been hearing what you are saying, the wisdom and the and the knowledge you have been dispatching to people. But my question is that I would know very well that the people we are dealing with, let's start from our side first, the politicians among us. Yes. I would know very well that these people are not really representing our interests. Yes. They go there for their own interests. An average Nigerian politician, I say it without missing word, an average Nigerian politician is a looter. The people who are on the queue now, voting to loot, they are even more than the ones that are looting right now.
Very much so.
It's their business. We all know that. Except you are not in Nigeria. Now, having know all these things, we are not going to throw stone, we are not going to shoot gun, but by negotiation, according to you, right, we are going to negotiate our way to bring down this constitution. But you and I,
we can bring pressure.
One thing we got to do, ask your nearest neighbor, with which constitution, if he's a politician, are you going to govern? It's going to be that this 99 constitution, it's not going to work. We have all known that, man. But by which means are we going to get these people convinced? Because they know this thing we are talking about. They know it.
Hold on,
he's talking to you.
Hold it, we hear you. If you were listening even in the last 10 minutes, we had answered your question abundantly. The action to take in asking them that question is to say, political party, close shop now. We will not allow you to drag us to another election. That is a different, that's a pressure. You are now talking to people you know, who are not in Abuja, who are not in a distant place, who are not pointing guns at you. In every neighborhood, all of those, this is why this information, to disseminate this information is the key to salvation right now. If this information is disseminated quickly enough, the internet is there. Let there be nobody going to gather for any other purpose. These people of these political parties, you are the ones who have been renewing the constitution by which our lives are being ruined. We are saying you must close shop now. You can't remain here flying flag and waiting for the next round of renewal of our enslavement. Do you see the task now? That's a different kind of negotiation.
Hold on. Let him finish. He said he wants to ask something. One more question for you, Mr. Tony, before I let him go. Go ahead.
Right, let him ask.
Now, we can all see, I believe that Mr. Tony is in Nigeria. Of recent now, when we are coming with this kind of mindset, that we are not going to, that some of us have been agitating that they are not going to be 2023 election without bringing down this constitution and let us sit down and how we can talk. If this thing called Nigeria will go forward. But you can discover that people we are dealing with, they have started their divide and rule game by telling the Easterners, the Biafrans, that they are going to give their presidency. And only that,
sir, if you did not listen, sir, hold on, sir. If you did not listen to the conversation going on this program up to the time you called, I will advise you, please take little time and go and review the full thing after we finish. We've also dealt with that. Those charlatans in Eastern Nigeria that have been invited to come and take their turn to rape the rest of us, they will have the Easterners who are being killed, who have been impoverished and traumatized to contend with. In this matter of, you can't go in our name to take this benefit for yourself. That's what our message should be to all the politicians, whether they are for council or for Senate or for House of Assembly or for president or for governorship. You cannot go one more time to renew our enslavement. That is the message for all of them. If these young people that came out on the street the other time, imagine if their demand was that constitution must go down, that there must be an announcement, by the president or whoever can speak for him to give them the schedule for decommissioning that constitution that is a fraud from which all of their miseries are flowing, whether it's police or army or refinery or election or corruption, all of those things are coming only from that one source. Imagine if that is their demand. Is it not a demand that can be made? Will it take 3 days? Will it take 3 days to force out such a broadcast? If they have the knowledge.
I'm going to let the caller go so that he can go and listen on his thing. Yeah, caller, thank you very much for your question. Thank you. I got another caller for you, Mr. Tony. I got another caller for you quickly.
Yes.
Let me just try and bring him back. Caller, thank you for calling. This is Heritage Television. Your name, your question, and where you're calling from, sir.
Tony.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Tony.
Yes, he's hearing you. Can hear you.
Right here.
I love your program, but let me quickly try to inform you something which is very important. Very, very important.
Yes.
You're talking about
who is speaking, please? Who is speaking, please? Who is speaking, please?
What's your name and where you're calling from? Mr. Tony wants to know your name and where you're calling from.
My name is SB.
SB, yeah?
SB, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Heritage, you know, right? So, what I'm trying to ask you is this. You are talking about Nigeria Constitution? The people that create the Constitution, which they are supposed to take all of them back to psychiatric hospital? And you are talking about this Constitution? Constitution that even if they are going to accept that, okay, they want to rebrand the Constitution, which at any fucking time they can overthrow the government again and then they will go back to 0-1. Mr. Tony, let me tell you the truth today. We have the order of the Federation, they are there, and they are ready to destroy anything at any fucking time. It's too late for the Constitution of Nigeria to rebrand or restructuring.
You are not listening. You are not caller, please listen. Moderator. Your caller didn't listen to he doesn't understand what we're discussing. We're talking about taking down Constitution. We're talking about branding. We're saying the Constitution should be taken down wholesale. The people who are led to have made the Constitution have organized themselves to say, we did not make it, it has to go down. We must go to a transition during which we decide by referendum. Is that not what I've been talking about? Where does rebranding come in now? If you don't understand what we're discussing, go and listen to the last 3 editions so that you can understand, so your question can fit into what we are saying. You are proposing something we did not propose now, and you are building on that false premises. We said the Constitution has to go down, like apartheid Constitution went down. Was it rebranded? Was apartheid Constitution rebranded? We're saying this was an apartheid. We're saying our signature have been put on a document we didn't make. And if you understand the meaning of we the people having solemnly resolved, and therefore making and giving unto ourselves this Constitution, you will understand that if the Constitution goes down, the union is at an end. That is the quickest way to ending this union of death. Our people are not listening. They already made up their mind that discussion of Constitution has to go to Abuja or whoever. We don't need any meeting with them. We only need to say it can't operate in our space any further. That is the podium upon which they are standing, and urinating on you. You are in a position to take down the podium.
I think he still has a question for you, Mr. Tony. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a question. What I'm trying to advise you is this: we need to shut the country down. We don't want to. We don't want.
That's what I'm telling you how to do. That's what you are the one not listening.
That's exactly
you are the one not listening. You are the one not listening.
It's too late.
You are the one not listening. You are the one not listening.
It's too late. We don't want Nigeria again.
Who tells you he wants Nigeria? Who tells you he wants it? You don't know the meaning of Constitution. It's been explained to you. Constitution is the reason why Yoruba land is in Nigeria. If that Constitution goes down today, Yoruba land is out of Nigeria. Is that not the closest way to get to the end of your misery? If you don't want to listen, and you're operating in the ignorance of thinking that Constitution discussion is only about going to rebranding, who is going to explain to the other people?
We have a section there that says we can go to what we call a referendum in the Nigerian Constitution. Is that what we're asking people to come and demand now?
Yeah,
that's what we are saying the same thing.
Please, moderator, please go to another caller. Moderator, go to another caller.
That's what I'm trying
to say.
Moderator, go to another caller.
I'm gonna let you go. Let's go. Keep listening on your system. I'm gonna let you go because we want to iron out some few more things. I will come back to you in a bit, Mister. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, thank you, guys, for calling in, for tuning into the program. If you have not shared this program, you are not a friend of what we're doing. Next caller, your name and where you're calling from, sir. Before your question, and make sure you turn your system down.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tony. I'm a very big fan of you, and I really appreciate the education you have given to every one of us. You are so well appreciated among us so much. May God continue to prolong your life for us. My name is Fatayo Guribido. Let me tell you something. Ever before you come to this platform, I'll be following you, and I'll be so passionately interested in the way you're educating us. Not everybody really understand where you're coming from. Most especially our brothers in the Biafra axis. They don't seem to understand that you are trying to go through the legal way by which we could be disengaged from each other. They seem to be misunderstanding. They are not actually following you so that they can understand. Their leader is a criminal. They are completely disengaged from this fraud that is called Nigeria. So I think
hold on, sir. Their leader is a clear-minded criminal who came to make profit.
Go ahead, sir. Tony.
Their leader is a clear-minded criminal. I sat down with him in 2013 for 4 hours and showed him this plan. He rejected every part of it because he wanted to sit and make brokers and make money. He's a clear-minded criminal, and as he pushes people to their death, the ignorant people contributing money he's fighting to what is the meaning of Biafra in the circumstance. If there's a strategy to take down the constitution that will end the union that hold you down, and other people are feeling that way too. Yoruba is feeling that way. Middle Belt is feeling that way. You are abusing the Ogoni, abusing the Yoruba, insulting the Middle Belt for 7 years. All of what I'm saying now was shared with him progressively for 6 years. We were more and more trying to. The more you explain to him, the more he was fabricating falsehoods.
Caller, is that all?
You should try to keep educating the people. Even the so-called negative approach that Kanu is giving to it. This is the way he understands
that. You don't want to talk about that.
No, he said, I'm informing you. Listen. If he was
just what I'm talking about. The constitution is a fraud. It is the only binding thing that's making Nigeria exist. Let us expunge it and let us just reject it so that we can be free.
We can throw it away.
This is the simple.
We can throw it away. We are free.
That is given to everybody. Let this thing and do accordingly. Nigeria must be ended through the expunging of that constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Tony, don't respond to that. I'm going to go to the next caller quickly because I've got so many callers waiting. Thank you very much, Mr. Fatai Ogunmujo, my main man. Mr. Ayo Ogudimo, the Constitution and that Constitution man. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Your question, I've announced your name already. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Citizen Ayo Ogudimo speaking here. Mr. Tony Nandi, morning and good. Congrats and great. I commend your effort here. We're speaking on the same thing. We are both passionately speaking to this issue because it goes to the central problem that we have in that nation. I'd just like you to just really explain to people again about these 68 items on that constitution. I've been looking at that. I wonder if you would just touch on that a little bit for people to look at. Because whatever we want to do in that nation, without dismantling that constitution, and especially the 68 exclusive items, we can't go forward. I wonder what your thoughts are on that, Mr. Tony Nadi. Could you just talk to people about that, and hopefully we can talk more about this. Thank you.
Yes, what is wrong? A prison. When people are put in prison, it is bad enough to be put inside prison with high wall and high gates. Then inside that prison, there are prisoners that are put in shackles, leg and hand, and locked to pillars in their cells. So, your task will then include, you have to find answers to the shackles and manacles before you begin to think about how to open the prison gate or bring down the prison wall to escape. The Constitution of Nigeria is both the prison wall and the shackles. The prison wall is where in the preamble it says, we the people, we the Yoruba people, we the Ijaw people, we the Igbo people, having solemnly agreed amongst ourselves to submit our lands and our people into this union. That is the prison wall. The shackles now come from, do hereby make and give unto ourselves the following constitution. That exclusive list, the shackle of police that has to come from afar is on that exclusive list. It's because arms and ammunition are on that exclusive list. Police on that exclusive list. It means that only the federal government, only those sitting in Abuja and whoever is controlling will be the one to organize for you your security. Anything they don't give to you, you can't get. As it is for security, so it is for electricity. Any electricity they don't give to you because it's on that exclusive list. And the reason I talk about prison walls and gates and the shackles that hold that tie your hands and your legs and put it to the pillar, those 68 items are the shackles and manacles by which you are held in the prison called Nigeria. The prison itself is the claim that you submitted your land, Yoruba submitted itself into the union to be called Nigeria. And therefore, Yoruba is part of drafting these 68 items of exclusive list. Yoruba is part of how 36 states were created in which they now become minority. Yoruba is part of how the spare keys of the treasury is given over to those in government house, not to be accountable. Yoruba is part of how immunity, all of those things are the shackles and the manacles by which this enslavement is being maintained. Those 68 items are like 68 different chains, one on your neck, the other on your waist, one by the left hand, another on the right, 2 legs, chest, everyone tied to a different pillar. But the prison compound is the fact that the preamble says that we, the Yoruba, are submitting the entirety of Yoruba land. Ijaw is submitting the entirety of Ijaw land, Igbo land, Idoma land, Tiv land. That claim is what creates the Nigeria compound in which we are all trapped. And then those other items, the exclusive list, are the shackles by which you are tied to 68 different pillars. So if you are talking about how to get out of that situation, since it is that constitution that creates both the prison and the shackles, but it depends on your signature. Every single day, they say the constitution is a living document. Every single day, that constitution is allowed to operate. It is because Yoruba is validating it. Ijaw is validating it. Every single day it survives. It's because we have not taken steps to say no more. We're inviting our people right now to join us in doing the finishing act. We've been at it for 20 years, organizing all of how we can come to this point. That was why we called Pronaco at the time. We called Pronaco a meeting of all the ethnic nationalities that lasted 2 years. We sat in Port Harcourt, sat in Lagos, sat in Enugu, sat in all the places and came back. We came out with a draft that will have removed us from that prison. The government played around, shut it down. Some people were even abusing us. Obasanjo just said we are committing treason for initiating a process by which the constituents can rework the basis of their union. The government had refused to do it since after Aburi, and that is how we landed where we are now. And so every one of those things on the exclusive list, I've talked about arms and ammunition for which you lost your right to secure yourself. I've talked about election. INEC is in Abuja organizing who will who will be representative for Ife, for Dogbolu, for Akure. Anybody they choose is the one that will represent you. In a federation, it should not be so. It should be your business to elect, to select and process those who you are going to. If there's a federal house in Abuja or Senate in Abuja, it is when you've done your processing that you now hand over, you bring out the person that will go to represent you in the Abuja. Not for INEC to sit in that one place and be responsible for all of how everybody is processed. So they are going to be looking for the renegades in your midst to empower. Whether they want to be governor or they want to be senator, it is in Mina, it is in Kano, it is in Kasina that they go to get their blessings. So they don't owe you any obligation, quite apart from the fact that Constitution also gives them further power not to account to you. So the entire thing is rotten and wrong from inside out. As it is with those two items, so it is with the matter of infrastructure. Electricity that you have capacity to generate, that Constitution says you cannot. How many megawatts are they giving to you? 5,000 megawatts for 200 million people. South Africa is 1/3 of our size in terms of population, 50 million people. South Africa is running on 50,000 megawatts of electricity. Nigeria, that is 200 million people, is running on 5,000 megawatts of electricity. And people sit in Abuja, clinging onto that constitution that remove that capacity from us. If that provision is removed from the constitution today, in November of 2020, by November of 2021, Lagos alone will be powering no less than 40,000 megawatts, because they are going to license all kinds of people who have the capacity to generate electricity from all kinds of sources. All the other units, individuals can come in. What is there in the electricity generation that it has become nuclear science? As it is with electricity, so it is with railway, so it is with refinery, so it is with all the other things listed in that, and nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change in all the things we are complaining about. The roads will only get worse. And bearing in mind the prison and the shackles, the prison is the fact that it is claimed that Yoruba submitted themselves. It just submitted themselves. Igbo submitted themselves. We are in a position to dismantle both the prison and the shackles by just getting rid of that constitution. And I've informed us what we can do.
I think this gentleman has one more question for you, sir.
One more question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. We are all, you and I agreed about, sir, I thank you very much for your detailed answer. And I love the analogy of the prison cell and the shackles. And it sets in the mind of the people exactly where we are. We are in a slave camp. I keep saying that. And I hope later on at some point, you and I and Thomas will work together. We need to have more further discussions.
We can actually, before you ask your question, we can actually put that one to Monday, 11 o'clock UK time, which is going to be 12 o'clock UK time, Nigerian time, or Oduduwa time, or West African time. So Monday, 12 o'clock, I'm going to beg Mr. Tony to please give me about an hour or 2 hours on Monday, which is going to be 11 o'clock UK time, and then we can iron this one out. So I will discuss with Mr. Tony more, and if it's acceptable, guys, meet Mr. Tony with Ayo Gundimo on Heritage Television this Monday. That's the good. Go ahead, sir. Ask your question.
Before we go, thank you. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. Let's go talk. Now, the question I want to ask is this. What critical steps, because time is short for us, Tony, Mr. Tony, what critical steps can everybody do within their neighborhood right now, in each and every neighborhood in the South? What critical steps can we take? And how can we expedite this process to make sure we make this knowledge aware to everybody that is hearing us right now to take action? Thank you.
Before you answer that, Mr. Tony, this man asked me this question. I don't think he's supposed to ask that question because he's an expert. He's an expert.
No. And we have answered the question on the program already.
Yeah. Mr. Aya, share it. Let it fly to 1 million. Let it fly to 20,000 people watching it now.
It's shared.
I know. I'm just saying that. So let everybody share.
What we can do so that
problem we have in our land is that we keep criticizing his area. This man is talking. Leave him alone. Let him talk. Face your problem. If you can listen, listen. If you cannot listen, don't listen. When Nnamdi Kanu comes in by a week's time, you come and listen to him. If you don't want to listen to Tony, don't listen to Tony. If you don't want to listen to me, don't listen to me. Then talk yourself. Let us listen to you. Let us know what you want to say. Mr. Ayobudimo, our constitutional expert as well, I want to thank you for joining me on this program.
Thank you.
And remember, Monday, 11 a.m. UK time, you and Tony will be on the show together. That would be lovely.
Okay.
At least two people that know what they're talking about will know who did the show. Thank you, Mr. Tony.
Yes.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a very straight and quick answer to his question. The political parties are the ones sustaining, because they subscribe to this constitution. The political parties are the ones holding us in this bondage more than everybody else. The people that impose the constitution, some of them are gone to retirement. The political parties that renew it every 4 years are the ones we can target now because they are in our every neighborhood. Let us insist that they must close shop until we have the constitution by which the winner of any election will govern. Full stop. We reject this constitution by which the winner will govern. We therefore reject any further elections under that constitution. Political party, please close shop now, not tomorrow. If young people do this, it won't take us more than 1 month to bring them to where they all become clear in their head that no further election will happen under that constitution. And for the information of our people listening, there's a formal joint multi-regional action to commence and initiate this repudiation on a practical scale. We call it constitutional force majeure. You are aware in contract that there's always a provision for what to do in the event of extraordinary circumstances arising that makes it impossible for the contract to be executed by one party or both parties. The union agreement, the social contract, which is the constitution, has been altered fundamentally by one of the parties. And the rest in that social contract are saying that this amounts to extraordinary circumstances. We agreed to be a federation in Lancaster House. We are no longer a federation because the constitutions that define that federation have been toppled and replaced unilaterally by a small minority, hijacking our sovereignties and the union itself. Everything that belonged to us now belongs to them because of that hijack. Second, we agreed on a secular federation. That small segment of Nigeria imposed Sharia in their belt, and they are jumping into everybody else's space to impose Sharia. We agreed to be a union of, so we're no longer a secular state. They've taken Nigeria away from being a secular state by their action, meaning that they've seceded from the secular union we were building. Third, the union is supposed to be one in which lives will be held sacrosanct. That's what all our laws try to do, to save lives and protect lives and private and property. Because of the Sharia they embrace, they owe it a duty of faith to kill the infidel. Everybody else is an infidel that has to be killed. They actually owe it a duty to kill that infidel. So no matter how you resolve the question of ownership of assets, they will continue to owe it a duty of faith to kill you as infidel. If you don't want to remain in the union of death, the thing to do is to say our union has been rendered impossible by that, infusion of Sharia. So we've ceased to be a federation. We've ceased to be a secular union. We've also moved away from sanctity of human life. We've moved away from rule of law. It's not possible to have a rule of law with an apartheid constitution. We were supposed to be a union of equal partnership. But from the point we got into this mess of master and servant, in which some people say, those who believe in their feudal minds that all men are not born equal, and who tell us to our faces that they are born to rule us and that there's nothing we can do about it. They've moved away from the fundamental principles upon which we agreed to be in a union. So on account of even those 5 items, we consider each of them extraordinary. Each of them can be reason why we call off the social contract from our part. If I will have to die because somebody has to satisfy his God, he has imposed Sharia, he has imposed feudalism in which he say I can't be equal partner with him, and therefore there's quota system in which my everything can be allocated to him. Look at what they've done with Dangote. Half of Lagos port is allocated to him. The borders have been opened now for only him to pass. He doesn't deal with custom. All the competition is brought down and liquidated because he has to have monopoly. That's not the kind of union we set out to be. And so we are now at the point where we're going to declare a force majeure on the social contract. Let those who are asking the question of what shall we do, what is it we can do in the immediate, let everybody get ready to be part of how to play their part in that force majeure. Force majeure meaning declaring that this social contract has become untenable. This contract is no longer tenable because the fundamental basis of the extraordinary circumstances have arisen. The fundamental basis of the contract has been removed. The moment that formal joint action is launched, all of those who want that constitution out of the way should go to stop the political parties in their neighborhood from getting and from operating towards another. Because if you allow them, they will continue to hold nocturnal meetings. They already have validated, they're already talking about renewing the term of the INEC chairman. And the next thing, the Senate, because of the 50 million they get every month, they will quickly pass it. The next thing, the man has already thrown out a timetable. I hope we notice when he threw out the timetable of when voting will take place. And now that's where they want to go. Is that where we want to go? No. And where do we hear all of those who reject enslavement, all of those who reject union of master and servant, all of those who reject union of death? You are in a position to tell the political parties they cannot take you to another election and that they must close shop forthwith. They must close shop in your neighborhoods. If the young people whose lives have been ruined by that constitution, whose future have been mortgaged by that constitution, if they decide that the political parties cannot function, instead of renting them as thugs, if they decide that political parties cannot take them to another election, and it's not on the day of the election, you'll be telling them that it is now. Look, you can't, we are not going to any further election. So what are you doing with political? Fold all your flags until we have decided the constitution by which the winner will govern. Full stop. Anyhow, we can explain this to our people in local languages. Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, it won't take us more than 1 month.
Mr. Tony, do you speak Yoruba at all?
I do.
Okay, let me do something very, very unusual. I'm like Oliver Twist. Maybe I'm asking for too much now. Can we have another program, maybe on Saturday? I will have to speak to Relu Abikade, who is our expert when it comes to Yoruba language. She's a clean, clear-cut expert. Maybe if you can, I will try and speak to her today and find out when she's free to hold the program within the next few days, either tomorrow. Yeah, definitely we have a program tomorrow. I will see whether she's free tomorrow. If she's free tomorrow, then she will be handling it. If she's not free tomorrow, then we would have to find someone else who speaks proper Yoruba better than me to handle it. Or in the absence of all the above, I will have to handle it myself. We will have to do this in Yoruba. Do you speak Igbo as well?
I'm Igbo, I speak Igbo. So.
Okay, so then
no,
what
I would suggest the alternative is
yes,
other people can, because there's too much demand on our time right now.
Okay,
I'm just doing this because we need to put this in somewhere people can take it from and disseminate to other people. Those who can speak Yoruba can listen to this and make out something they can do in 30 minutes to inform our people, guided by what, just for them to say it in the language their own people can understand. As it's happening in Yoruba, it's happening in Igbo, it's happening in Ishekiri and in Job. I think that might be a better way to reach more people, so that they will take it, because all the information they need is already here. If they look at this tape and all the 4 tapes before it, they will see all the information they need, and then they will break it down to Yoruba and to Igbo, and just telling our people, because the constitution is the constitution. That is the fundamental. That is the contract, the union contract, the union agreement. Everybody understands what are doing.
That's a good one. Anyway, I want to seriously appreciate your effort, but I'm still crying for the Yoruba version. I'm crying for Yoruba version. Terribly, terribly crying for it. Maybe we can do that tomorrow. If you allow me to tell our people that tomorrow we're going to be having the Yoruba version of this tomorrow, sometimes tomorrow. That would be very, I would be very happy. We can start early tomorrow. We can start the day.
No, you can
tomorrow.
Find our time. I think my suggestion would be, let's find some of our people who can interpret and tell our people in the various languages. They only need to listen to this carefully. If they have any questions to answer in terms of clarity, we can always
Yeah.
And if they can even they can present the program. We can listen while doing other things.
Yeah.
If there are questions they can't take, then we'll just say, look, this is how it works. But let it flow. You understand? Let it flow from them having digested it themselves. That, look, this is what the problem is. This is what it is not. This is what we can do. This is who will do it. When? If our people will listen to us, we will see the back of this constitution before the close of 2020. If our people will listen. And that is the end of their 200 years of enslavement to forces of darkness. Once we get to the point where elections will not happen, the politicians now realize that they've come to the end of the road. We go into transition. We already told those in government house that we have no quarrel with them at this time. Their 4 years can remain intact, provided we are discussing the replacement for what we are rejecting in a transition that is orderly. If they will not accept that, while that offer is open, they might come to where people who are less patient than all of us will ask them to just get away. We saw it brewing the other time. And if anybody thinks it's all gone away, we have molested them, they've dispersed, they will never get again. Such persons must be fools.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tony. Some people are asking that they don't normally get notification from Heritage when a program like this is going on. What I've done is that I've actually pinned a WhatsApp group invite. Please click on the link and join that WhatsApp group, and that will make it easy for you to know when a program like this is. Oh God, it's running away from me already. Okay, 1 second. So if you click the link I've just posted, pinned on both YouTube and Facebook, you can actually get notification that a program like this is going on. Please join that WhatsApp group. If you become full, we migrate it to Telegraph so that we can do that. The only thing is that I always like to monitor who is on that platform, because I don't want every G and Harry there. We're not looking for crowd on that platform. We're just looking for quality people. Mr. Tony, I want to say a very big thank you, because we have to be rounding up. We've been here for about 3 hours. We know how precious your information it is to us. That's why we're begging for more. That's why we're hungry for more, because people are now hungry. When we've started, people were not hungry. But when people see what is coming out, people now realize that this is vital. And one of the reasons they're saying this is that you know what you're talking about. Sometimes it's easier to hear from the horse mouth. That's why I'm going to beg again. Begging.
No, as often as we can, until the message sinks into the masses of our people. Until it's done, it's not done. And I'm sure if we do a few more, and people are able to go and take the ones we've done before to get other people to see it. We only need to. It's just like the walls of Jericho, that people were asked to circle Jericho 7 times. That's all we need to do. This kind of internet is there. why should this information be withheld from anybody? And if everybody knows, the people who need to act will have something in their hand to go and do and solve the problem. There's nothing standing between them and their salvation right now. The prison gates are open. That ignorance that is the basis of fear and military terrorism, that's government terror. It is knowledge that would disperse it. And that's what we have now. Even this few we have done, these 5 episodes we have done.
Yeah.
If anybody can take it upon himself to make sure that all of those who want an end to their enslavement in Nigeria gets to see it, I can assure you the transaction is more than 60% done.
It's done. Fantastic. Tony, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Until next week, when I come your way again and bring Tony again on this program, Scrutiny with Tony Unamdi. I remain your slave. Please don't forget to join me. Join Ajoke Ade at 2 o'clock today, where she will be discussing land grabbing issues by the Fulanese in the southern part of Nigeria. Land grabbing issues.
The same commotion.
Now they're grabbing the lands. Yeah. So where we'll be discussing land grabbing issue with Ajoke Ade at 2 o'clock UK time and 1 o'clock West African time. I want to thank you all for joining today because it's been a wonderful program, and I want you, on behalf of all the people, both the civil people and non-civil people on this platform, thank Mr. Tony. Those people, your comment counts, whether it's good comment or bad comment. All your comment, everything you say on this program today counts, and I cannot thank my guest enough because it's been a formidable force when it comes to dealing with things like this. I want to thank you all, from John Luke, Folake, Allah Alao, Citizen AY, Ade Yusu, Obonaya Festus, John Luke again, yeah, Kingsley, I want to thank you. Oh, wow. Okay, Chuku, you said, Tony, you are sound. Wow. God bless you. God is so strength. Thank you very much for that. Map carrier Tony Nandi. Yeah, thank you very much for calling map carrier. Yeah. But someone just commenting.
You see, they are celebrating their ignorance.
Yeah.
Every discussion on self-determination begins with map.
Yes.
And ends with constitution. Every discussion on self-determination anywhere in the world begins with map and ends with constitution. They call me Mr. Map. They call me Mr. Constitution. They're ignorant.
And someone said, Mr. Tony, because we need, please, Mr. Tony, because our people need to understand you more. Yeah. You understand? Someone said we need to get numbers. I've actually pinned the numbers and the WhatsApp link so that you can actually invite yourself. I don't have to invite you. You can actually invite yourself onto the group. I want to say thank you to everyone. Oh, wow. Some people have actually just joined. Wow. That is very nice. Wow. Are you serious, guys?
People are informing others. People are informing others that the prison is about to break up
within the next few seconds. Information is.
It might even come. It might even come where we syndicate with a number of other platforms.
Yeah, people are doing that.
There may be online platforms that will be more than glad to just hook up with you as we do this. Yeah. If we find 50 such platforms, they just like people join NTA in those days to broadcast live, so that more people can get this information.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody. I cannot thank you, the listeners, enough, because if you're doing this and you're not listening, we're wasting our time. We will be wasting our time. I really want to thank you all. And until later on, I will be on again myself at about 7 o'clock UK time this evening. So we have 2 big programs coming. Land Grabbing by Ajoke Ade. Wow, we were looking for the name of the program last week, but the name came up later on in the day. I want to thank Mr. Tony Namdi again. You have been my superstar. You've been my role model. Everyone who has been doing this, you have all played a big and central part in getting this done. Thank you once again. God bless you all. Until next week. Bye-bye.
Heritage TV. La 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 la. Heritage TV.
Everybody in London, have you heard that Heritage Television has come up with something new? All your functions and celebrations can now be multi-camera live stream that was only reserved for the rich and famous. Having a function in London can be viewed clean and clear immediately from any part of the world. Trust Heritage TV to give you a better reach. Heritage Television also does photography that will make you the envy of all your friends and family. Heritage Television is the best. All your functions like birthdays, funerals, weddings, church anniversaries or harvest. Heritage Television is the master. We are in the heart of London with an ultra-modern equipped studio. You can call us on 020-800-46100 or email us info@heritagetv.co.uk or mobile 0734 1234 560. Heritage Television will do you proud.